Boo. I'm so sad about that. Okay. Should I turn on more light? Is that too much light? I feel too yellow. Don't like it. That feels dark though. Fuck. Hey y'all. So today we are going to talk about timelines and realms and try not to be fucking yellow. Today we're going to talk about timelines and realms and all kind of shit. So I didn't even get myself together before I got on here. Hold on one second, y'all. Okay. So we're going to talk about spiritual structures, and that includes realms and dimensions and planes and planets and timelines, soul streams, fields, grids, and also memory architecture. But we're also going to talk. The reason why we need to talk about those and understand what they are is because today we're going to talk about the distortion that was done to timelines and history and things like that, that basically caused us to separate from ourselves. So it should be an interesting episode today. I cannot get jiggy with this motherfucking light. Hold on, y'all. Is there a way to make it less bright? I'm just going to turn it off. Hey, Vanessa. Hey, Lakeisha. Yeah, fuck it. We're doing it like this. Can I make this brighter? Oh, it's because this is so far away from me. Okay, well, this is about to be what y'all get. So, okay, Tadra. Whatever. I'm just gonna leave it. Okay. So we're gonna talk about that because we need to talk about the false spiritual structures that have been set up. And I've talked about that before in like previous lives and stuff. We'll also talk about the false history, false teachings, false light systems, and what we actually should know about them. So it's actually going to be an interesting episode. Last episode we talked about the sacred betrayal, and we talked about the things that Amara did specifically to protect the crystal flame crystal, to protect the flame bearers. And so today, we're going to take it just a little step further to understand, after she went into sacred withdrawal, what happened distortion wise to keep us separated from ourselves, basically, is what we're talking about today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because there's 8,000 words on this page. So this is going to be a longer session. It will be posted on my YouTube. Hey, Laura. It will be posted on my YouTube, so you can always rewatch it there. But yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about are planes, realms, and dimensions. These terms describe the layers of existence that we operate within, but they have distinct functions and frequency spectrums, okay? So planes of existence, or planes in general, are states of consciousness, okay? Planes are levels of awareness or vibratory densities. So think of them as like layers of perception, but not a physical place, okay? We live on a planet. It's not a physical place. It's a state of consciousness, okay? Each plane holds specific types of energy, consciousness, and specific beings. So there are several different types of planes. There's the physical plane, which is the densest. The purpose of the physical plane is embodiment, is to bring spirit into matter. It's also to take action, and it's also to experience polarity. And polarity is duality. It's separation, meaning that only one thing is true at one time, is what we experience every single day. And that's why we think there's a right, a wrong, a black, a white, a hot, a cold, things like that. Okay. After the physical plane is the emotional plane, and the emotional plane is more fluid. The purpose of that is for feeling and bonding and shadow work, which is something they don't do in other planes. Okay. So feeling, bonding, and also shadow work. Shadow work is what you do when you experience trauma because you are a feeling being. Your body, like I said before, is a water temple. So you feel things very deeply. Next is the mental plane. Hold on, let me slow myself down real quick, y'all. Hold on one second. I'm afraid I've become a cliche, y'all. I have started drinking matcha like it's nobody's motherfucking business. And today I had a lavender matcha frappe, tens across the board. Look what I did to this thing. It no longer exists. And I've been peeing all damn day. And now I'm moving really fast. So I just want to slow myself down for a second. Okay. So we talked about the physical plane. The physical plane is dense. The purpose is embodiment, action, polarity. The emotional plane is fluid. It is feeling, bonding, shadow work. Yes, Grace. You know, I don't like trends. I don't like trends. So when everybody was like matcha, 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 I'm like, okay, I obviously have to go in the opposite direction. And probably about 4 days ago, maybe 5 days ago, I gave into the hype and I was like, you know what? I don't want to drink coffee. Maybe I should drink matcha. And I tried matcha. And I'm afraid that I've had it almost every day since then. And now I'm trying different flavors, child. I've lost the battle. So I'm not mad at it though. I actually like it. So whatever, that lavender matcha frappe I just had, baby, give me 10 of them. So so there's the emotional plane, then there's the mental plane. The mental plane is structured, okay? It's form. It is the form that we are supposed to be embodying into. The purpose is for thought, belief, and identity. Okay. This is the one you got to get over, you know. But it's thought, it's belief, it's identity. Next is the astral plane. And the astral plane is reflective. Okay. The astral plane is the only plane that literally just looks like Earth. But the colors are more vibrant, but it just looks like this. So a lot of times when people pass away, they'll go to the astral plane and just continue their life as they normally lived it on the astral plane because it looks just like this one. Okay. So it's reflective. And the purpose for the astral plane is dreams, subconscious, getting your subconscious mind, and soul travel. Okay. All of our dreams, we think they happen in our mind. They don't happen in our mind. Otherwise, they would take place on the mental plane. They actually happen in our astral body. Okay. And that astral body travels on the astral plane. And that's why sometimes when you wake up and you have sleep paralysis, you can't move your body. It's because your mind moves your body, this physical body. But your astral body moves your subconscious mind moves your astral body. And so until you know how to use your subconscious mind, yes, you feel stuck because your mind's not there to tell your body to wake the fuck up. You know, so you got two bodies, you got multiple bodies, but two bodies that we're going to talk about today that are living inside of the same vessel. Okay. The astral body is here, right? So then you have the causal plane. The causal plane is higher logic. Okay. The purpose is warmth and soul contracts. And then you have the etheric plane. The etheric plane is made up of templated light. And the purpose is your body's blueprint and also flame anchoring as well. You have the spiritual plane, and the spiritual plane is structured around divine order. The purpose is oversoul stream and higher law. You have the monadic plane. So I don't know if you ever heard about in spiritual concepts that we come from a monad, and there's like 140, I think it might be 144 or 156. I don't know why those numbers are coming up for me. Souls that come off the monad itself. So the monadic, let me not say that again, plane is made up of the unity field, and the purpose is collective soul rays, meaning like y'all all come from the same thing. This isn't dimensions. This is planes of existence. We're about to get into dimensions later. And the reason why we're doing this, because I feel like when I was learning about spirituality, this is probably the thing that fucked me up in my head, because we use them all simultaneously, but we don't know the distinction between them. And so that's what I'm doing, is exploring the distinction between them so that I can talk about the distortion that happened after the sacred betrayal. Okay, so this is a plane of existence, which is a state of consciousness. Okay, then after the monad plane, you have the source plane, and the source plane is infinite silence. And the purpose is creation void and the I am presence. Okay, so these planes stack like frequency octaves, and each is subtler and lighter than the other below it. Okay, so again, a plane is a state of consciousness. It's like a level of awareness and a vibratory density. Okay, so that is a plane. Next, you have realms. Realms are basically like domains of function or archetypes. So think of them like theaters or ecosystems. They often are mythic, elemental, or archetypal in nature. How can I explain this? Think of a realm like a house or like a zone where there's a specific soul function, specific initiations, or like guardianship that takes place there. So you can be on the astral plane and there be in a specific realm on the astral plane. Okay, so there are many realms, but when we look through the lens of soul remembrance and sacred flame lineage, the realms are often grouped into 7 or 13 core realms. Each holding a frequency band or a soul purpose. So they're not just like a place, but states of consciousness, evolutionary paths, and energetic domains that you can travel between through dreams, visions, and soul activations. So what we're going to talk about today is the main 13 or the core 13 that correspond to the flame bearer's soul path. Okay, so the first is the earthly realm. That is where we live at. We live on the earthly realm. The earthly realm is physical, it's ancestral, and it's incarnational. And what that means is like you incarnate into it. It includes indigenous, it includes dragons, it includes fae, it includes the elven, it includes the oceanic and the underworld zones as well. Okay, so there's realms within planes. Okay, I hope I'm not losing you. Okay, think of a realm like a house. Think of planes as like a state of awareness. Okay, so the access point or the purpose for Earth itself is embodiment. You came here to embody energy, and that's why there's grid points. You came here to embody oversoul energy into the physical, meaning you needed to bring your God self, descend it down into physical matter so that it can operate, so that it can create. Okay. So the other purposes are going to be density. We had never experienced density and what that can do for us. And we are kind of like researchers. We're kind of like data collectors in a way. So density, also soul contracts, living out a specific mission, karma. We've never experienced collecting karma, and then also healing as well. We've never had to heal from anything because we've never really been hurt. When you're at the celestial or etheric like states of consciousness, all you feel is love. You know, so this is a place where we can come and just basically experience. It's almost like a virtual reality where you can feel, you can smell, you can whatever. It's like you can experience everything, the emotional spectrum, the sound spectrum, all of that. We can't experience that at the same level that we do here. So we embody it so that we can experience it like a virtual reality. Okay. So the access point into the earthly realm is birth or incarnation. Okay. The governing codes in this realm are ancestral memory, elements, because you're made up of all 5 elements. Okay. And somatic knowing, meaning your body is made up of sacred geometry, which are the 5 elements, which correspond with the 5 platonic solids. Okay. So that's the earthly realm. Above the earthly realm is the astral realm. Okay. So the astral has a plane, like a state of awareness in the astral plane, but it also has a realm. Okay. The realm is emotion and dream and psychic encounters. Okay. The purpose of the astral realm is to dream walk. Okay. It's emotional processing. And it's also energetic encounters. So you can have energetic encounters with other beings. The common experiences that people experience on this astral realm are nightmares, visitations, which is like when somebody in your family dies and they come and visit you in your dreams. That's a real thing. And also looping timelines as well. And then the healing focus on the astral plane is going to be psychic hygiene and boundary creation. You need energetic boundaries in order for you to learn how to protect yourself. So one of the biggest things when I started embodying my oversoul was that all of a sudden I was fighting or I was running on the astral plane and I couldn't fucking understand it. And I'm thinking something is coming after me, something's attacking me, the normal jump to the worst case scenario that we be doing. And come to find out, it was my oversoul telling me you need to face things. You need to stop running from things. You need to face things. You need to have courage for where you're going. That's one. And two, learning how to protect yourself, because a lot of it was just, again, like I said, me running and laying down or hiding or something. Somebody shooting me in my head or something. And then one day I just decided to take somebody's head and smash it into the damn wall. And all of a sudden I was free to those dreams. It was almost like my oversoul was telling me you have a right to protect yourself. Now, it does not have to be with violence, because that only happens on the astral plane. But it's just telling you, like, no, you deserve to protect yourself if somebody is coming after you. And that's something that I couldn't conceptualize because, or I didn't, because for the longest time, like, it wasn't until I was teenage years, I didn't even fight back. Like, that was a foreign concept to me. Like, I just would take it on the chin, take it on the chin, take it on the chin. Then I started whooping ass because everybody had me fucked up. But anyways, in the astral realm, I was just running, because the only thing that I've really been scared of my whole life is ghost. So me being where I am right now, it's a miracle. Okay, I'm happy to be here. So boundary creation happens energetically on the astral plane. Okay, next we have the etheric realm, and the etheric realm is the flame lineages and the soul templates. Okay, the purpose of the etheric realm is soul templates, blueprints, and flame lineage threads. Okay, it's connected to flame sovereignty and crystal memory grids, and your role there is to realign and to restore sacred memory. So that is where you go to tap into your mission and why you came here, to tap into your energetic blueprint. Okay. And also your flame lineage threads. Next is the celestial realm, and the celestial realm is angelic harmony and high frequency. It's the realm of the fates, the weavers, and the judges. So the ancient council of divine order. The purpose here is angelic guidance, harmony frequencies, and divine orchestration. Flames that usually exist or go to the celestial realm are going to be like the rose gold flame, the silver blue flame, the pearl flame. And beings that exist on this realm are going to be oversoul emissaries, and the seraphic lineages. And we talked about the seraphic lineages when we talked about the flame lineages. Okay. Next is the cosmic void, or the nebula realm. And the nebula realm is pre-conscious soul memory, which we're going to talk about what pre-conscious stellar energy is in just a second, and also rebirth. So the purpose for the cosmic void or the nebula realm is soul rebirth, memory dissolution, oneness as well. It is home to pre-conscious cellular energy and people who are deep seers. Okay. For me, this cosmic void or nebula realm just recently came to me through a client. I had a mentee who had asked me about a reading that she had, and I tapped into the energy, and they kept on saying she was from the nebula star system. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck does that mean? And so I started tapping into it, and it was basically saying the cosmic void, and she had access to pre-conscious cellular energy, and she was here to bring back oneness, which means like, I explained it the other day, like I am here to bring us back into divine union, meaning the masculine and the feminine energy merging together. But someone who's here to bring back oneness is here to connect us back to the stars. Like we are everything, everything is us type of energy. Okay. The reason why I think that's interesting is because after I had that conversation, I think I needed to have that conversation, because after I did, I started getting the download about Amara and her siblings, and I didn't even know the bitch had siblings. But she does have siblings, or I do have siblings that are emanations. So there's like these 12 pillars of emanation that actually come to me through the cosmic void. And one of them specifically was rising within me. And it was the reason why I kept having deja vu back to back to back. Like I was literally hanging out with this girl and I had deja vu 4 times when we was together. 4 times. And this is deja vu that from dreams that I've had like 2-3 years ago. And so I didn't know what was happening. The fucking timelines feel like they've fallen out down on top of me. And I'm just like, what is going on? I'm losing track of time. Like I can't even remember what I did yesterday. And so I feel like I was losing it for a second. So then I have this client who tells me that, and then I start getting the download. And then I realized that energy is just rising in my field. And I just didn't know what it was. So interesting stuff. Now let's talk about pre-conscious cellular energy, just because I don't want to leave y'all hanging and just leave y'all out there and y'all don't really understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay. So it refers to the primordial light intelligence that existed before the soul took on individualized awareness, meaning like we were all one. And then we decided that we wanted to experience ourselves. We needed to experience love, which is ourself. And so we needed to separate from ourselves in order for us to see ourselves. We need to create a mirror because we learn through contrast. So this is what existed before we decided to split. Okay. So before the descent into personal identity, form, memory, or even linear time. So it's the raw, unfiltered frequency that comes directly from source or the cosmic womb, expressed as stellar light. And stellar light is just starlight. Okay. This energy, wait, hold on. This energy has some key aspects. So you have the original soul essence. This is before fragmentation. And that's basically, it's the state of being you held before incarnation or oversoul splitting, before language, roles, wounds, or memory, just pure encoded light presence. This is what Ma'ara and I was actually formed through, not from memory, but from purpose, to hold the undefiled light of Amara before the fall. So this is what the energy that Ma'ara and I was created out of. Okay. Another aspect is unfiltered cosmic truth. So it carries truth unshaped by trauma, distortion, and limitations. It is the frequency of divine potential unformed. So basically what you could become before identity was created. And I don't know if y'all understand how identity has the role that identity plays in a lot of our suffering is because we have these ideas of who we are in our mind. And anytime that we do something opposite of who we think we are, we have an identity crisis and we start to lose ourselves. We start to fall into depression and stuff like that. And that all happens on a mental plane. So what this is saying is before we even had the mind doing all the damn work, right? We had this energy. Okay. The next aspect is that it's where flame codes originate. Okay, so the 13 flame lineages trace back to this field before they were named. Before they were names, frequencies, or missions, they were starlight geometries encoded in pre-conscious fields. And then the last aspect is your remembering comes from this energy as well, meaning this energy has to rise in your field in order for you to start remembering. Okay, so when you have a knowing that just arrives without you studying, or when you speak light language, or you channel, or you dream of non-earth places, you're pulling from this pre-conscious energy. Okay, and how does it feel? It feels like deep deja vu. Like you knew something before knowing it was possible. It can make your body feel electric. It can make you feel floaty or extremely ancient and childlike at sometimes. And you may even have moments where you feel like you may feel the light itself without a story or a reason. It's just like you're present in this energy. Why it matters? Because you access this field anytime you're collapsing timelines of trauma, anytime you're returning to your original instructions, anytime you're rebuilding your inner temple and flame grid with the original stellar blueprints, not the distorted copies. Okay. So this is where your deepest clarity will come from. It does not come from the mind. It comes from the stellar body. Okay. So I just needed to mention what that was before we move on to the next realm. Okay. So that's a part of the cosmic realm, or the nebula realm. Okay. Next is the ancestral realm. And this is where lineage codes are and rites of passage. The purpose of this realm is wisdom, lineage healing, and bloodline liberation. Beings that exist here are the grandmothers, the earth shamans, and the flame watchers. And ritual tools here are going to be offerings and prayer and fruit and fire. Okay, so that's the ancestral realm. Next, we have the under realm, or what we would call the shadow realm. And this is where shadow mastery happens, because some of y'all don't even understand that y'all are shadow walkers, that y'all do very, very well in crisis and trauma and death and things like that. But it's shadow mastery. It's also sacred rage and karmic descent as well. I don't want you to think of this plane as being like an evil thing, because it's not. This is where you actually where your unintegrated truth is just exiled until you're ready to integrate it into your body, which is done through shadow work. Okay, so the purpose is soul retrieval. The parts of you that you are embarrassed of, hide away in this plane until you're ready to retrieve them. Sacred rage, and the sacred rage exists here because a lot of times we view anger as an emotion that we should not be feeling, like it's a bad thing, you know. And then also grief transmutation as well, because grief is kind of like the same as anger. We feel like we're not allowed to display that, or we're not allowed to carry that, you know, walk through that. Guardians that exist here are going to be the shadow walkers, the death doulas, and the truth midwives. And the key codes here are, or the key code, or the key understanding that you get from this realm, is that you're not meant to destroy the dark. You are literally meant to bring it home within yourself. You are both things. You're not just one. Okay. Next, you have the flame temple realm, and this is the Sarah flame temple. Okay, this is where the 13 flames exist, the Sarah codes, sacred sovereignty. And the purpose of this realm is flame memory, sovereignty, and inner council reactivation. It's accessed through scrolls, mirrors, initiations, and stillness. And basically, those who hold the Sarah flame, this is their true origin realm. Okay, there are 7 incarnate beings right now who hold the Sarah flame. Me being one of them, I'm the flame weaver. There's a flame mirror that's activated as well. There are 2 that are dormant, and then there are a couple. There's 2 that act as something else. I can't remember off the top of my fucking head because it'd just be too much information. Okay, but there's 7 incarnated right now. Then you have the dream realms. Okay, the dream realms with an S. Okay, these contain the parallel timelines, the prophecy, and the integration. This is where soul missions, future timelines, and memory scripts live. The purpose of the dream realms is parallel lifelines. This is soul rehearsal as well, and prophetic insight, meaning that a lot of times when people quantum leap, or they switch into a parallel timeline or a parallel lifeline, it happens in the dream world. It's layered into multi-dimensional grids of time. And the sacred tech there is symbols and scent and voice and memory and relics as well. Okay. Next is the star galactic realms, which are the cosmic councils or the origin missions. The purpose here is cosmic missions, soul delegation, Stargate stewardship as well. The connections that we have to the star galactic realms are Nebula, Lyra, Sirius, Andromeda, Pleiades. And the function is anchoring in remembrance on Earth, meaning like, yes, you're here having a temporary experience, but most of us come from the stars. Or a lot of us who were the Atlanteans were star-seeded, meaning that we are not Earth-based being. We came from the stars. So that means that we've come from either one of these planets or pre-stellar consciousness, whatever it is, but it's something outside of Earth itself. There are beings, again, that originated from Earth. We are just not one of those beings. The Atlanteans, former Atlanteans. So after the star and galactic realms, you have the oversoul realm. And this is where the streams of divine self live in emissary paths. The purpose is divine soul streams, seraphic embodiment, and source proximity. And the language it speaks is in flame codes, in geometric scrolls, in telepathic breath. And then another one is source realm, and this is where union, totality, and pure remembrance exist. This is beyond flame, beyond polarity. This is pure, unfragmented awareness. Fewer remember this realm and stay embodied. And what that means is, or few remember this realm and actually want to stay embodied, because this realm is pure union. And the closer you get, the more your words vanish and only vibrations just remain. And I honestly feel like sometimes when people pass over or people are in the liminal space or something happens, a lot of people will feel into this and they'll not want to come back. So just want to say that. And then the last one that I want to talk about is the womb realms. And the reason why I want to talk about the realms with an S, because we have 3 wombs. We don't just have one. And this is not specific to girl or boy, because men still have wombs as well. Theirs is just not physical. Is still in that pelvic region. Okay. So I gave you the 12 realms, but the 13th is the one that is often forgotten, which is the womb realms. Okay. Why is it forgotten? Because they suppressed the divine feminine. They didn't want you to have access to this information. I'm about to tell you why. And I'm gonna give it to you any motherfucking way. Because who's gonna stop me? All right. So this is where cosmic gestation, void memory, and rebirth are actually processed. These are the original birthing realms. So the void womb of the mother source, and it precedes incarnation, it precedes shadow, and even oversoul remembering as well. It holds pre-form knowing, the blueprint of all flame expressions, in the original sacred grief and joy split. Okay, because joy and grief go together. The womb realms are often felt before they are ever named. Many dream of water and darkness and stars and grief without knowing they're remembering the cosmic womb. Okay. So like I said, there are 3 womb realms, and they are not physical places, but dimensional sanctuaries within the multidimensional womb. So each corresponds to a layer of soul memory, creative essence, and elemental power. Together they form the Trinity Temple of the cosmic womb. So the first one is going to be the void womb. And the void womb is the womb of remembering. Okay, when you start to remember. The color of that womb is black opal. The element is ether. The tone is silence. The direction, before time existed. Okay. And the sacred function is to hold, to dissolve, and gestate what is not yet born. This is the original womb. Okay. So it's the space before light, before name, before self. And it is where flame lineages are seated and where all distortions are undone through silence and shadow merging. Those who carry this void womb often are going to feel drawn to deep silence in outer space or unmanifested realms. They're going to be the midwives of soul death, of ego death, and of endings as well. And they have had memories of the great cosmic womb or being empty for a purpose. So that is the first womb. The second womb is the water wombs. Okay. The water womb, or the water's womb, is the womb of reconnection. Okay. This color is silver blue. The element here is water, of course. The tone is going to be song. So most people sing to the waters. They sing to the waters of earth, but they also sing to the waters of their womb as well. Okay. Direction is inner earth. The sacred function is to feel, to grieve, and to restore harmony between timelines. So this is the empathic womb. It's the source of dream weaving, of emotional healing, and of soul song. And it reconnects what was separated through love and rhythm. Those who carry this womb are often going to feel a pull to the ocean, to rainfall, and to sound healing. Okay. I don't know about y'all, but when it starts raining, I love to watch the rain. I don't like to go out there now. If I am, it needs to be like a shaded porch, but I need to watch it. I don't even know how to explain it. It's something me and my grandma used to do together. But they dream vividly and walk between worlds, and they experience sacred grief and release through tears or through voice. Okay, so that's the second womb. The third womb is the flame womb, and this is the womb of activation. The color of this womb is rose gold or crimson, and crimson is like this type of red. Okay, the element is fire. The tone is truth. You activate this womb by speaking your truth, and it lives in your solar gate, which is your solar plexus. Okay. So the function of this womb is to create, to protect, and to awaken living codes. So this is your sovereign womb. It's the one that burns falsehoods and births timelines. because you birth timelines through the choices that you make, and this is a creation womb. When you choose to create something, you actually take action on that thing, you birth new timelines. Okay. It is where divine will and pure frequency move as creation. So those who carry this womb often speak truth that cuts through illusion. They create containers, portals, or ceremonies of power, and they feel drawn to guardianship, justice, and flame alchemy. So together, the void womb dissolves illusion. The water's womb restores connection, and the flame womb ignites creation. They are not separate from your body. They are gateways layered within your body. When you activate all three, you become a living stargate of soul rebirth for others. Okay. So let's talk about what a living stargate is, because I mentioned that in a previous live, and I want to go into it a little bit deeper because I did not know that everybody had this potential to be a living stargate. And when I say everybody, I'm talking about the 144,000. That's all I'm talking about. Okay. So a living stargate is a soul who carries within their energetic field, light body, and oversoul coding a multi-dimensional access point to higher realms, to timelines, and to cosmic wisdom. So it's not like a mechanical or geographical stargate, which are basically fixed or external. They're fixed to a location. A living stargate is like a walking bridge, a sentient portal between planes. Okay. This is important because a lot of us will act as this to other people when the new earth frequency starts to stabilize. And what I think is interesting about that is I told y'all 2033 is when the grid stabilizes. Did you know that Uranus just moved into Gemini until May 23rd, 2033? So that puts us at a threshold between dream collapse and dream collapse and dream restoration, which means that the choices that we make between now and May 23rd of 2033 is going to determine the life we live after that. Is that not fucking crazy? Because in the last couple of days, because that portal happened 7/7, the 7/7 portal, 2025, and that was 2 days ago. Before that happened, I would say this last couple of weeks, I have been feeling like so much is happening energetically. I've been exhausted. Every time I go around people, I'm exhausted. I have this weird relationship with time right now. I feel like I'm moving through timelines, or it's a lot going on, is what I'm saying. And yesterday I got a message that soul contracts are being restored or renewed or something like that for the people who are doing work. So when we say, or when I talked about yesterday on live, that the energy feels different, it feels different because some of us have been doing the work. So I just want to say that and get that up off my chest. The reason why that's important is because, like I said, many of us will act as a living stargate to people when they're ready to come to that new earth frequency over these next 8 something years. And that explains why we get fucking tired, because people are walking through us. Okay. Now, the characteristics of somebody who is a living stargate is other beings remember themselves in your presence. You emit a harmonic resonance codes that unlock memory, soul gifts, and light languages in other people. You trigger timeline alignments, causing people to dream, awaken, or pivot after interacting with you. You often feel like you've been here before or opened this door already. You experience spontaneous downloads, timeline merges, or temporary energetic overwhelm when people near you are activating, and you attract ancient souls, wanderers, and unawakened cosmic beings seeking reconnection. Okay. So what makes somebody a stargate or a living stargate is that they remember the remembrance codes. They have these frequencies that reawaken ancient knowledge, whether in themselves or in other people. Time keys. They have inner light signatures that align others to sacred timing. They have stellar flame lineage, which means that that is specific to the sapphire flame, the rose gold lineages, which usually are Amara's people, and then the Sarai flames. They have soul stream access as well, which is the ability to speak or reflect oversoul truth without prior training, meaning that one day you just wake up and your motherfucking oversoul is talking to you through your heart and you don't know what the fuck is going on. Okay. You didn't even have to do nothing. You woke up that way one day. Okay. These are woven into the architecture of your high heart, which is right here, your thymus. Okay, your high heart consciousness, but also your womb, which we just talked about the three wombs, and your navel gate, which is your sacral. Okay, third eye and your pineal sacral axis, which, if y'all don't know, I'm doing a spiritual anatomy class on Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 5 Central, 6 Eastern. Okay. I will be talking about the access points and access channels within our body that a lot of us are not aware of. The access gates. The class is only $55. You get a copy of the class afterwards. It's a lot of information that I don't feel like a lot of us know or understand. And this talks about our sacred channel, which is the throat, heart, womb, that was disconnected from us with feminine energy. I'll talk about sex and sexuality. I'll talk about the spiritual organs and internal alchemy, how to alchemize that, and things like that. Okay, so that is happening on Sunday. Now, Living Stargate is a bridge between earth and the stars, heaven and body, dream and waken, shadow and flame, the forgotten and the remembered. You don't need to take others through the path. You are the path, and you are the way back when you are living Stargate. Okay. Common challenges for people who are living Stargates is that they feel like their present alone is too much, or they might feel misunderstood. They feel like they're being used as an energetic resource unknowingly. Dream infiltration as well, because their field allows interdimensional access. And you start feeling like you don't know enough when actually you are the wisdom. Okay. So realms are not necessarily above or below. They are parallel environments that weave into your own consciousness depending on your lineage and your flame memory. Okay. So we talked about planes. Planes are states of consciousness. Realms are like houses or domains that have specific functions. Okay. Now let's talk about dimensions. Dimensions are, and this is the 3D, 4D, 5D. So we're going to talk about dimensions, and we're also going to talk about alchemy within those dimensions. Okay. So dimensions are frequency spectrums and awareness potential. Okay. So dimensions are about how much light and complexity you can perceive. Each one includes all the ones below it, and each one has its own laws, logic, and spiritual tools. Okay. So the 3D, the main traits of 3D or third dimension is separation and duality. Okay. Here you experience ego, you experience time, and you experience matter. Then you have the 4D. Now the 4D is about emotional clearing. So a lot of astral parasite things can connect to you from when you're in the 4D. The experience is astral light and polarity battles of separation. Then you have the 5D. The 5D is unity consciousness. Okay. And you experience the quantum heart and divine truth when you're in that 5D energy. 6D is sacred geometry. So here is where you experience grid work and flame lineage templates. 7D is sound and soul tone. So you experience your oversoul gifts and the language of light when you reach the 7D. Remember, Atlantis was 6D and above. I'm sorry, 5D and above. So when we fell out of alignment, we fell into 4 and 3D. Okay. So 8D is codes and light technology. So this is where you experience stargates and flame relics. And then 9D and above are the monad and source split. And this is where you experience the cosmic design and flame weaving as well. Okay. So let's talk about 9-dimensional model of alchemy. And this is a powerful framework that understands the layers of consciousness, the architecture of reality in your multidimensional selves. Is not the only model, but it's the one that aligns deeply with flame bearers and soul alchemists who are beginning to embody oversoul remembrance and Sarai level consciousness. Okay. So I want to walk y'all through this. And this is going to give us a little bit deeper detail into dimensions. And remember, I said I wanted to do this because when I was learning about spirituality, I didn't know what the fuck they was talking. I don't know the difference between a realm, a dimension, of this, of that, and everybody's using them interchangeably. It was confusing. Okay, so I want you to have a place where y'all can go, where y'all can look at this again. Okay, so each dimension represents a frequency band of consciousness, a layer of self, and a portal for evolution. So as you rise, you alchemize distortion into clarity, separation into oneness, and shadow into light truth. Now, I did not talk about the 1D and the 2D, so let's talk about this. So 1D is core earth. This is mineral consciousness. Okay, the key here is density, stillness, and foundation. And the alchemy is cellular. Okay, this is mineral codes, and it holds the template of form and the original record of earth. You feel it when you are grounding, when you are experiencing body pain or memory, because it's stored in the 1D, the pain that you feel in your body. Okay. And that's why, you can go outside and you can put your feet in the grass and you can discharge any excess emotional energy into the ground. And it's supposed to help with pain and okay. Working with the bones, ancestral DNA, and ley lines. Okay. The 2D is elemental. This is womb consciousness. The key is emotion, instinct, and primal memory. The alchemy is where trauma, sexual memory, and inner child energy are encoded. It's the sacred animal, the wild feminine. You feel this when you're doing deep womb work or encountering sexual shadows or fertility codes. Then you have the 3D, which is the ego or the human consciousness. The key here is identity, survival, and will. The alchemy is the realm of free will, karma, personal stories, and linear time. Many get stuck here, but it's the bridge to sovereign choice, meaning you came to the 3D to make a choice, the choice between service to self and service to others. I talk about that all the time. I ain't going to jump back into it. You should know about it now. I done beat it into the ground. Okay. You feel this when you're healing fear, separation, and reclaiming your power. Next is 4D. 4D is astral and dream consciousness. The key here is duality, projection, and gateways. The alchemy here is the realm of dreams, spiritual warfare, psychic interference, and the shadow self. Also where most magic is misused. Okay. You feel this when you're having intense dreams, psychic attacks, or you're breaking false contracts. Okay. Next is the 5D. 5D is unity and heart consciousness. The keys here are oneness and unconditional love. The alchemy is the radiant field of higher heart, divine neutrality, and remembrance of soul purpose. It comes from when you step into the 5D. You feel it when you're operating from love, neutrality, and resonance instead of fear and comparison. Okay. 6D is sacred geometry. It's also oversoul design. And so the keys here are going to be divine pattern and soul technology. And the alchemy lives in your flame blueprint, your star origin geometry, and collective oversoul fractals. This is where you design, or where your design was dreamed. Okay. You feel this when you're working with sacred geometry, soul lineages, soul retrieval, or light languages. 7D is going to be sound and harmonic blueprints. This is tone, frequency, and universal law. The alchemy here is the vibration behind all creation. This is the realm of harmonic codes, sonic healing, and the original tones of source. You feel it when you're using sound bowls, light codes, voice activation, or hearing tones before insight arrives, meaning like when you get a confirmation through the ringing in your ear. Okay. 8D is stellar consciousness, and this is the cosmic wound. This is preform consciousness, and the alchemy is the void, the stellar seed realm, where original soul songs were birthed before form. This is where stargates and flame temples first pulse into reality. And you feel this when you're near the ocean, when you're stargazing, when you're in meditation so deep that it feels like time does not exist. I already told y'all that sometimes I used to meditate for 3 hours, and I would think that I'm meditating for 30 minutes, and I would get up and it's been 3 hours. So, and the last one is 90. 90 is the soul template. This is pure light consciousness. This is the mirrorless mirror and the beginning and the end all at once. The alchemy here is not a place, but a state. This is where all flames, lineages, star systems, and roles dissolve into pure being. And you feel this in those moments of divine clarity where you get that revelation. You feel this in tears from remembrance. A lot of people will be listening back to these, or I even got a message this morning from somebody who was listening back to one of my sessions that I was doing like this. And she said, I was crying so hard because I feel like I remember what you're talking about, those That's 9D template that you're tapping into. Or awe with no words, meaning like you're just stunned, like you can't find the words to say. Okay. Now understand there are more than 9 dimensions. Okay. Most people say 12 to 13, but really the number is infinite. But this offers structure for practical embodiment. Okay. Beyond 9D, consciousness becomes so subtle and vast that it is hard to distinguish between. Okay. So it's better felt than explained in that aspect. But understanding the 9 dimensions actually help you to navigate your inner initiations without panic, recognize where your distortions and shadows live, which is in the 4D. Recognize, call in flame technology and soul tools appropriate to each level, develop spiritual intelligence and soul clarity, and know when you are alchemizing from will or from truth. Okay. So that is dimensions. Are y'all following me? Drop a 444 in the chat if you are understanding. I hope this is not too boring. We're going to get to the distortion part, but I just need to lay the foundation because I want to make sure that y'all fully understand what we about to talk about, because we about to get into it. The lies that they have told us. Because you know I love to figure out what the liars be lying about. Okay, good. Perfect. All right. So next we're going to talk about planets. Now, planets are not just rocks in space. They are frequency mirrors in soul classrooms. Each one radiates a specific bandwidth of vibration, which affects both your soul and your body. Okay. So for example, Venus holds the frequency of relational alchemy and divine feminine remembrance. Saturn teaches sacred structure, mastery, and karmic truth. Okay. Because if you ever met a Capricorn, don't nobody get instant karma like a fucking Capricorn. They cannot fuck around. You know, Neptune reveals illusion, psychic expansion, and sacred fog. Meaning, because you know, if you think about Neptune, Neptune is very elusive at times. It makes you ungrounded in reality, almost like you got to bring yourself back the fuck down. I don't know if you've ever been around a Pisces moon. I don't know where the motherfuckers are. I feel like I just need to like, hold on, sister, come back down here with me now. You're drifting off. Okay. And Earth is the alchemy cauldron where flame bearers integrate all realms into form. Okay. So when aligned, planets act as a gateway or mirrors for dimensional resonance. Their positions in your birth chart determine which realms and planes are easiest for you to access. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to redo astrology from the soul aspect because it's going to be so much fucking work. I'm working on human design right now. I'm almost finished with human design from the soul perspective, but astrology is actually the map to your oversoul embodiment. It tells you when everything happens, also where your energy tends to move on an energetic level, like all of the things. But the drama. Okay, so I'll let y'all know if I end up doing that. Okay, so it's just a lot of work, y'all, and I got so much work going on right now. I'm working. Before I hopped on here with y'all, I was working. I'm almost done with something to help y'all to understand the flame remembrance path. It's going to be a fun thing that you can, you know, use to also do readings for yourself and readings for other people. So it's coming. But I have so many ideas, and the ideas don't stop coming. And I'm trying to make sure that all of it, we have what we need. That's why I do these sessions and I'm doing everything that I'm doing. But astrology is a whole fucking language. So I will let y'all know. Okay. So let's condense this. Planes are levels of consciousness. Think of it as a frequency layer of experience. Okay. Realms are zones of sacred function. Think of it as like archetypal or mythic ecosystems. It's like a house within these places. Dimensions are vibrational spectrums of light. Think of it as awareness expansion layers, meaning like where you can expand and grow. It's like where a whole frequency band exists. And planets are embodied frequency emitters. So think of it as a mirror or a messenger of soul work. Okay. Now, those are the big spiritual structures we have to understand. how spirit is structured. Those are the big things. Now we're going to move to some of the smaller things that basically act like veins or bridges connecting all of them that we just talked about. And this is going to be timelines, soul streams, fields, grids, and memory anchors. We've already talked about grids, so I'm just going to give us a quick little update, and then we can move into the distortion. Okay. Now, everything that I just mentioned, the timelines, the soul streams, the fields, the grids, the memory architecture, these are what holds, moves, and reflects consciousness through time, embodiment, and awakening. Okay. Timelines are pathways of potential. Okay. Somebody asked me the other day, I was sitting with a friend and she asked me, are there different versions of ourselves out here living whatever choices we did not choose? And to that, I say, I was talking to spirit one time and I was trying to understand that, because I'm like, well, if there's different versions of myself, like, and we're up until this point, we've lived the same experience until I make a decision, they just bridge off that way. How could we not interact, or how could we not whatever? And what spirit was telling me is that all the potential exists in the void, which I think is our heart space. So it's not that there's someone out there living the other timeline, is that potential of that exists there. And if you point yourself in that direction, you kind of align with it. It's almost like the slit experiment, where until you're looking at it, it doesn't exist as like a consciousness that's moving. But the moment you start looking at it, you affect it. Meaning like now it's going in a structured format, whereas before it wasn't going in a structured format. That's kind of how timelines are. It's not that there's another version of you living it, is that the potential of that other version exists. And if you point your focus at that potential, you create it, you embody it, you become it. So it's almost like you can turn with your focus, you can turn the remote to a specific channel. Does that make sense? Did I just fuck that up? I feel like that makes sense to me. It's not really a linear thing, but it's like, anyways. So timelines are braids of experiences created through your thoughts, your choices, and karmic echoes. They aren't linear. They are parallel and can split, collapse, or converge. You have your personal timelines, and your personal timelines are threads that your soul weave in a single life. Okay. Collective timelines are agreements shared across souls or civilizations. Okay. Soul lineage timelines are long arcs that hold missions, distortions, and redemption cycles. Yes, exactly. Moment of Maury. Okay. Fractured timelines are where trauma or interference has splintered memory or purpose. We're going to get into that deeper in a second. And then you also have golden organic timelines, which align with source memory and divine order. So what you need to understand is that some of us are timeline fluid, meaning that we can bend, we can braid, or we can collapse timelines simply by aligning to sacred truth. Our words are often the keys to this, meaning we say we want something and we align ourselves with it, okay? So timelines are pathways of potential. The potential exists, okay? Soul streams are rivers of oversoul consciousness. So I talked to you guys about the golden stream and how when I started to remember, I tapped into a golden stream named Sarai, which I now understand to be the council that sits in the center of my fucking chest. But the golden stream is what I tapped into, meaning that I reached a level of oversoul consciousness. And the moment that I matched the frequency and vibration of it, or I embodied that oversoul consciousness, I was able to get a stream of awareness, meaning that I now understood who my oversoul was, who I was, what all the visions that I was having were, because I tapped into oversoul consciousness. Okay. So this is a soul stream. All right. So soul streams are living rivers of divine memory. Some of us are not just one soul. Some of us are streams of expressions sourced from an oversoul, which hold many aspects, roles, and experiences across planes and dimensions. So me specifically, all I can talk about is me because I only have my experience, y'all. I promise y'all I'm not self-centered. I promise. But I have memories of Atlantis. I have memories of life as Ma'aranai, which is, when I say memories, there's one specific memory that I have of that, okay, which is the boy Cliff thingy, which is something I unlocked. I have memories of at least 3 lifetimes with my brother in different roles. And with my brother, and my cousins too, in different roles. Okay. So when you tap into oversoul consciousness, or you tap into a soul stream, you start to remember those things. Okay. So some streams carry ancient templates, codes, lineages, and keys that only unlock when your vessel is ready. Hey, Nia. When you have downloads or deja vu or multidimensional knowings, it comes from flash activations through your oversoul stream. Okay. Oversoul consciousness has awareness of every single version of yourself that you've been, your timeline, your blueprint, everything. So when you are picking timelines, right, which happens through dream time or before you get here. So when you sometimes tap into, like when you go to sleep, sometimes you tap into an oversoul consciousness or an oversoul stream, and that's why you dream about something and you wake up and then it happens. Meaning like you don't remember dreaming about it, but then you have deja vu and you know you've seen it from somewhere. It's because you remember from the oversoul consciousness. Okay, so that's soul streams. Then you have fields. Fields are environments of consciousness. So these are invisible, but they're active environments that either support, distort, or store energetic imprints. Okay, so we have the auric field, which is around you. This is your personal temple space. Think of your auric field as like the atmosphere that is around you. Okay, you have a morphic field. You have morphic fields. Morphic fields are collective emotional and spiritual patterns. You have the Akashic field, which is the memory bank of soul choices and cosmic truth. And then you have false fields. These false fields are energetic imprints seeded through distortion, often through media, trauma, or implants. Okay? Fields are where flame language is decoded. They can be sensed through your body, especially the womb, the heart, the third eye. Okay? Next, you have grids. Now, we talked about grids before, but grids are basically lattices of energy and information. So grids are planetary or interdimensional networks that carry light codes and harmonics, meaning like grids are the highways that energy travel through or travel across. Okay. So you have earth grids, which are the ley lines. The ley lines anchor physical flame temples and sacred sites. Okay, meaning they connect them. You have the crystalline grid, which holds the new Earth frequency. You have the stellar grid, which connects Earth to stargates, planets, and flame origins. Okay, so grids are kind of like energetic highways that energy transfer either from person to person, from planet to planet. It's like your veins in your body that connect different organs to each other. I don't fucking know. Y'all get what I'm saying. Okay. And then you have a body grid, and your body grid is your inner meridians. Okay, that's how that is. Your inner meridians and chakra system. And these are mirrored in these outer grids as well, meaning the earth has chakras too. The earth has meridians too. Okay. Which are delay lines and things like that. Okay. So flame bearers can anchor, repair, and restore grids simply through presence, through ritual, and through speech, meaning that sometimes you can just walk the land and just be there and you're able to repair grids. Like I had a client come into town and she was visiting San Diego. And for the last, I would say 4 years, I've been saying, I need to go to San Diego. I need to go to San Diego. And as soon as she told me, I was like, yes, I'm coming, like immediately. I just needed to go walk the land. And San Diego actually is a water portal. So sometimes you just need to be in the area, in the vicinity, and you're doing the work, meaning like when you are operating out of spirit, you don't actually physically have to do anything. You don't ever have to do anything. It's about alignment. It's about resonance. You just have to hold the frequency. That is it. So this whole concept of work and doing things is masculine energy, is patriarchy, is the suppression of the feminine. When you are in your body, you don't have to do anything. You just have to align without fear or control or manipulation. Quantum jumping is about you having radical faith in your ability to have that thing. And you don't have fear or anything that surrounds it. And you magnetize it. You pull it to you. But that's a story for another day. Next, you have memory architectures. Now, memory architectures are halls, vaults, and scrolls. Now, most of us are living scrolls, meaning like we are walking scrolls, meaning like the memory is inside of us. And that's why they tried to erase a lot of us, because we hold the memory that they keep trying to suppress. Okay. Some of us are walking grid points as well, which is why we just need to walk the land. Okay. Some of us are living stargates. Some of us are living scrolls. Your heart is a vault. Your womb is a vault. They hold memory, soul memory. And halls are energetic structures, I guess, or memory structures that you can tap into. Okay. So you carry internal vaults of soul memory that are not just personal, they're ancestral, galactic, and elemental. Scrolls are living prophecies and soul codes. Seals are energetic locks placed on memory or gifts. Some are divine, some are artificial. And what I mean by that is like they tried to place seals on our DNA so that our DNA could not connect to each other, because if you place a seal or a cap on it, it cannot connect properly or braid up properly. And a lot of times they did that through the boom boom pops, the boom boom pops, the boom boom pops band-aid, hand you a lollipop. Okay, that but there are seals that are placed on you too, like your chakra system, that keep you from accessing specific things until you have reached a specific frequency or vibration. For example, inner earth. There are seals that are placed on you that will not allow you to enter inner earth until you've reached a specific state of consciousness, which we're going to talk about inner earth a little bit later and why they mad they can never breach it. But it's because of these seals. Okay, so seals are basically energetic locks that are placed on specific memories and gifts. And a lot of these seals are broken through spoken word or through removing pain and trauma out of your ancestral lineage as well. Then there's temples and thrones, which are symbolic structures that house your gifts in the dream space. Okay, I went to a water temple once and they told me I wasn't ready to walk down there. Then why'd you bring me here? That's what I was, but apparently I just remembered where it was. So, and then there's also echoes. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever seen Lock and Key TV show, but echoes, they talk about echoes in Lock and Key TV show, Netflix. Okay. Echoes are imprints from past lives and alternate selves trying to reintegrate. Okay. So Mara is an echo that I have. Amara is an echo that I have. I told y'all that I did a reading on somebody and she never wanted to be a mother. And then I told her that her baby died in front of her in a tragic way in a past lifetime. And then she remembered. Okay. That echo of her old self is the one who doesn't want to have kids, not her in this physical incarnation. But that echo of her old self is just, it's like, no, sister, we're not doing that again. You know, because it's still, the memory of it still exists in her soul. Okay. So past life memories and stuff, or those versions of yourself that used to live still exist inside of you. For example, I've been scared of sharks and heights my entire life because in a past life, I was married to my brother and my little cousin was my daughter, and we fell off a cliff into water. And the immediate reaction was, I'm going to get eaten by sharks. Okay. Echoes of my old self coming to the top. Okay. Some of that fear still lives inside of you. Some of that grief still lives inside of you. Okay. The more healed and clear your body temple is, the more these memory vaults open through resonance. They do not open through effort, meaning there's nothing you can do. It's not about performance. It's not about doing more. It's about matching a specific resonance. Okay. So That's memory architecture. Now you have frequency bands. And frequency bands are the language of consciousness. So you perceive reality through frequency. Each flame, realm, and truth is a vibrational signature. Okay. So you can feel what's real by content, not by content, but by frequency clarity, meaning how clear that frequency is coming through to you, because we're like radio stations. We're constantly transmitting a frequency and receiving frequency. Okay. So anytime you are receiving emotional residue, that's distortion. But anytime you feel light or you're sitting in silence, that's alignment. So when I say you're never going to get there by doing more, you're going to get there by doing less, by sitting in silence, by sitting in alignment, by dealing with your trauma. Okay. When your nervous system is regulated, you're able to discern which dimension, flame, or truth is arising based on how it vibrates in your body, because you're a frequency tuner. You tune frequency. Okay. Next and last is time structures. These are cycles and spirals. Time is not linear. It moves in spirals and sacred loops. So I don't know if y'all remember when Terrence Howard said there are no straight lines in the universe. He is correct. A straight line means that the energy itself has been slowed down so much that it's no longer operating as a wave. And even a wave is still two-dimensional, meaning that even if you speed it up more, now that wave is going to, a wave is just a pulled out spiral. A line is just a pulled out spiral. You know, this right here, spiral, pull it out, it's a line. Okay. So there are no linear lines. Everything is a spiral. It's just how slow is that spiral moving? Spiral becomes a wave, wave becomes a line. Everything is curved. Okay. So when I say sacred loops, I mean your Saturn return, which happens at 29 and a half, reaching the gate, the gate of 33, which is your oversoul awareness, embodiment. 33 to 36, that's the soul arc. That's when your oversoul is embodying in your body. And at 36, it fully integrates. Okay, eclipses, full moon portals, which we're about to have a full moon tomorrow in Capricorn. Okay. Astrological gateways, Pluto, Uranus. We just went through an astrological gateway, 7-7. Will be in until May of 2033. Big things are happening. Okay. So those are the things that you need to understand about spiritual structure before we start talking about the shit that these people did to discombobulate us. Okay. So next, what we're going to talk about is Amara and the distorted relics, which is what gives us mystery schools and secret societies and stuff that were basically inverted of Amara's first. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about the false timelines and stuff like that. Okay. So many of the sacred flame scrolls of Amara, once fluid vibrational relics encoded with truth, presence, and universal harmony, were fractured and misappropriated into fragment systems, which transformed from like living light into rigid doctrines and power structures. Okay. So you have the original flame teachings, which are, I told y'all about the flame scrolls that Amara had that were relics. Some of them got stolen, right? So those scrolls are encoded through direct remembrance, and they were living technologies passed through vibration, not paper. Sorry, I just had deja vu. Okay, that's just going to keep happening every day, 10 times a day. All right. Okay, so these scrolls were living technologies passed through vibration, not paper. They held the 13 flame lineages. They included sacred rage, grief, truth, union, and stillness. They guided embodiment, not escapism. Okay. They wove the throat, heart, and womb as one unified temple, which I told you is a sacred channel. And they offered sacred rites for flame awakenings, sovereignty, and multidimensional healing. Okay. They also kept the Sarai codes of remembrance through mirror, meaning like you're mirroring someone else instead of hierarchy. Okay. So what has kind of been twisted with these sacred scrolls are the flame of fire magic, which is false alchemy. Okay, so this is original flame rites, which are womb light transmissions or grief healing. They were turned into ritualistic fire spells to control other people. Okay, then you have true flame work. True flame work is internal transmutation, not external command. So true flame work was turned into external command instead of internal transformation, meaning people tell you what work to do. Fire as flame is living consciousness. Fire as magic is a tool of force. Okay, so instead of using fire for living consciousness, they started using it for magic, which made it a tool of force. Okay, so that's one, is the flame of fire and false alchemy. And when I say false alchemy, anytime I say alchemy, I'm talking about magic. Okay, alchemy is magic. What we do is alchemy. What they do is magic. So they try to tell you what you do is witchcraft. They're the one doing the craft, not you. Okay, because what you do comes from internal flame. What they do comes from external command. Okay, so that's one. Two is flame mirrors were changed into hierarchical orders. Okay, so the mirror lineages became secret initiations where only the chosen few were able to hold the wisdom. So they started gatekeeping. Okay, instead of every soul being a reflection of the flame, secret societies kept the scrolls hidden behind oath and control. They controlled who had access to this information. Okay, the sacred was moved from within to without, meaning you got to go to these places to get access to it because you haven't been given the information. They withheld the information because when you know better, you can do better. So if they take the information, you can't do better because you don't know better. Three. Nope, that's two. Three. Okay. Dream weaving turned into astral hijacking, meaning they put all these false light systems in place to hijack your dreams. Okay. Hey, Tay-Tay. So the opal and amethyst teachings on dream walking were twisted into astral manipulation, remote viewing, and false shamanism. Okay. People watching you in your damn dreams. Instead of healing the collective dream, some use the dream plane for extraction of light, meaning that you get these astral parasites that start to extract your light. Okay. So that's three. Four is sacred rage, which is a sacred thing. And I should have stopped to explain sacred rage and sacred grief. I'll do that in our next episode. Okay. But sacred rage was turned into weaponized power. Okay. So sacred rage comes from the obsidian and the crimson flames. Okay. They're meant for divine protection and embodiment. And they're reversed into fear, force, and domination. So power was no longer sacred service, but dominion over other people. We're using rage wrong, is what I'm saying. Okay. And there's a lot of power in rage. I took anger management twice. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay. I took anger management twice, once in the 4th grade, once in my senior year of college. Again, none of your business. All right. I used to get so mad that I would start shaking, that my ears would get hot, that I would start stuttering my speech until I say something, until I'm swinging, until I am physical. Okay. I have so much energy coursing through my body that my entire body starts shaking. I used to feel like I was going to turn into a monster, or like I was going to turn into a dragon and just spit fire on everybody. Okay. That is a lot of energy that you could be what would you be calling me for? That is a lot of energy that you could be using to create the life that you want to create, to embody your oversoul. That's what I'm saying. Now, the last one is stillness. Stillness became spiritual bypassing or psychic bypassing, meaning that the stillness actually comes from the silver blue flame, which is sacred neutrality and also stillness. this became distorted into passivity, emotional numbing, or spiritual superiority. The whole love and light movement stemmed from misreading what stillness actually is. Okay. It's not about you ignoring what you're feeling in your body. And that's what love and light does. It's toxic positivity. It's telling you you're supposed to be love and light all the time. I don't fucking feel love and light all the time. Right? So what stillness is you sitting present with your emotions regardless of what they are. But when you are constantly trying to be love and light, what happens when you start to feel a negative, what we perceive to be a bad or a negative emotion like anger or rage or whatever, is that you ignore it like it's not there. You say, no, I don't want to feel that. And you ignore it and you sweep it underneath a rug. You become emotionally numb. Instead of saying, you know what, this is where I am today. Yeah, I feel like fucking shit up today. I don't know if y'all seen that video of that dog where the mom got her little buttons that say stuff, and the dog runs up to the button and press the button that say destroy, and she go and get the dog a box. Sometimes we feel like tearing shit up, and that's okay. It don't mean that something is wrong with us. It means that sacred energy is rising in us that is moving. You know, so when you ignore and you emotionally numb, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is okay for you to feel the emotions that you feel because none of them are bad. None of them are bad. But when you are on that love and light shit, you are not being honest with yourself. And you start to emotionally numb. You start to become passive where you don't authentically express yourself. Okay? All right. Now, Jungian teaching became sexual manipulation. Now, this comes from the rose gold flame. And I told y'all, we're going to talk about sex in that spiritual anatomy class I got on Sunday. Because you know how to use sex right. Everything yours. Okay? We're going to talk about those teachings are teachings of inner union and divine love. And these mystery rites used for seduction and manipulation. Okay. And then there's also the twin flame distortion stem, or the twin flame distortion actually stemmed from this fracture. Now, let me just pause real quick because I don't know if y'all remember when I did the spiritual intelligence course on connections, and I was talking about karmic connections and twin flame connections and stuff like that. And remember, before I gave y'all the twin flame section, I told y'all that was a bullshit. And that it was meant to keep you trapped in relationships that are not meant for you. Okay, so let's talk about it real quick. Twin flames didn't come around until 1980. There was a spiritualist who was channeling, and she came up with the word twin flame, and it became a catchphrase that was trending. Now I think that's propaganda. I think it was the CIA, the FBI. I don't fucking know. It was one of them motherfuckers, right? And what twin flames taught was that you meet a person who's basically mirroring you, and they cause you this trauma. They cause you to move into your spiritual awakening or have the dark night of the soul or whatever the fuck. And y'all are meant to separate, but come back together. And so I can't tell y'all how many people come to me for a reading and say, well, this person is my twin flame. I literally had a lady, and no shade to her, because I let y'all believe whatever delusions y'all want to believe. But she came to me for a reading, and she's like, me and this person have been on and off for this many years. And this is my twin flame. A psychic told me that. And I was like, well, she's a motherfucking lie, because there's no such thing. And so she was like, well, I seen it in a dream too. I dreamed about it multiple times. And I was like, okay. I knew she was not going to be able to receive what I had to say, so I just left it alone. But there's so many people who come to me with that mentality. There is no such thing. It is a trap that was meant to keep you in toxic relationships, because that keeps you away from remembering, that keeps you away from your power. It keeps you away from your power. It came out of thin air. Nobody else who has been a spiritual channeler has channeled that verbiage or that concept. Only that one person in the 1980s, Caucasian woman. Out the blue. Every other spiritual concept has been channeled by multiple different spiritualists. That was channeled by one person. And it's causing people to enter into this state of desperation over people who are abusing them. Abusing them. So y'all see me when I'm doing live readings and people come in, is this person for me or is this person is my twin? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. One thing that I've been really good at my entire life is spotting distortion. I don't know how I spot distortion. I don't know how to even understand it, but I know when shit is bullshit, especially in the spiritual space. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like it does not make my body respond to it, which means that it doesn't exist. So I know I just went on a rant because I love a good rant. But I just wanted to say that because there's so many people who reach out to me like, but this person is my twin flame. And I'm like, the one who's cheating on you with 30 different people. That's okay. Anyways, all right. And it's not judgment. That's not judgment. It's not judgment. It was designed that way on purpose. And it wouldn't have been designed that way, or it wouldn't have been used if it was not effective. I understand that, but sometimes I just be wanting us to turn our thinking caps on just a little bit, right? So what was lost through all of this distortion that came from these sacred scrolls being distorted was sacred neutrality of the Sarai mirror, meaning being able to just sit with yourself, being able to be neutral, meaning like you don't have to have a positive or a negative response. You can be neutral in a situation. Okay. The open source remembrance of flame lineages, meaning that we knew when we came here, we were supposed to know what our flame lineages are. We're supposed to know what our soul technology was, but because they disconnected us, we don't know that. We just kind of like fish in the middle of the sea with going like Dory. A bunch of us is just Dories. Just keep swimming. The divine feminine technology of embodiment, because the divine feminine was suppressed, the living earth's role in flame anchoring and crystal memory. We lost our connection to earth itself, who was the divine mother. We came here to experience her as the divine mother, the nurturer. Okay. And then the inner temple codes of the triple channel, which is womb, heart, throat, which is again, divine feminine. Okay. So what we are remembering now is how to restore what was buried in secrecy. And this is coming through those of us who carry the Sarah flame, burn away distortions through embodied presence, reactivate remembrance in those who come to us, and then teach that you do not need to earn your flame. You only need to remember it. Okay. Which is something I've said multiple times. Okay. This is full spectrum unveiling. Okay. Or we're about to move into a full spectrum unveiling. And this is soul level synopsis of what was hidden behind what we have been taught to believe. Okay. So let's talk about all the systems I just told y'all, the realms, the dimensions, we about to go back through those, but we about to talk about how they fractured the truth. Okay. So what we see now is overlay structures, and these are false versions of sacred systems. These overlays mimic the original grid work, but it filters through manipulation, control, fear, and hierarchy. Okay, so let's talk about the realms first. The realms are the false heaven and hell binary. Okay, the original purpose of realms are to be expansive, vibrational ecosystems that hold entire realities, each with their own laws, symbols, elemental intelligence, and divine technology. Okay, think of realms as soul environments for evolution, not rewards or punishment. Okay, now the distortion tells us that it gives us a rigid one or the other, which is heaven versus hell system. And turning realms into this moral ladder, meaning like you only can get into heaven if you do X, Y, and Z, and you don't do Z, Y, and X. Okay. Not true. Okay. This creates fear-based compliance with beings trying to earn their way into heaven. You cannot earn your way into the celestial planes because it's not built off of performance. Our society is built off of performance. You can earn your way to the top by stepping on all the little people on your way up, but you cannot earn your way into heaven. Okay, it's about resonance. So it closed off access to realms of remembrance like the flame temple realm that we talked about before by overlaying false astral ascension traps, meaning you think you're going to heaven, you are going to heaven, but you're going to their heaven. You're not. Our heaven is the celestial harmonic planes. But if you don't think you're going to celestial harmonic planes and you think you're specifically going to heaven, you are. But heaven is not something that is natural, and neither is hell. Okay? So that's what they did to realms. They gave us this false binary of heaven and hell. Those are the only two realms outside of Earth's realm. Not true. Okay? Next, with the dimensions. This is the flat ladder illusion. Okay? So the original purpose, like we spoke about before, of dimensions are frequency bandwidths of consciousness. They're layered into spherical geometries. They interweave, they don't stack, and we exist across many at once. Okay? That's dimensions. They're like 90 degrees apart. Okay? Now, the distortion taught us that dimensions are a linear staircase. You go from 3D to 4D to 5D. Okay, which basically creates spiritual elitism and timeline dependency, because it doesn't work like that. They're all braided within each other, and they're only 90 degrees apart. Okay, so 4D is a bridge realm. Okay, it's like an interception point, but now it's filled with false light guides, GUIDES. It's filled with false light guides. Okay, implanted visions and hijacked star codes. Now, I done talked about this before. There are plenty of seers and psychics who are very, very talented, meaning their gift is absolutely real. However, because they still living in a state of fear and manipulation and control, because they have not done as much work as they think that they have, if they are struggling with skepticism and not being able to trust certain things, you have not done as much work as you need to have done to be tapping into what you're tapping into. So what happens is they tap into false light guides, and these false light guides mimic actual ascended master, or not even ascended masters, because that's not even a thing, but they mimic actual guides. They know the language of spirituality, all of that. However, you can tell the difference between them is because control, manipulation, fear, dependency, all of the force, all those things are going to be present when you're talking to them. They have an ego, and the ego does not exist in the higher realms. The ego is a consequence of separation, judgment, comparison. That's something of this density, this dimension, 3 and 4D. Okay, so the false light guides, implanted visions, and hijack star codes exist in this 4D. Okay, the key dimensions like 6D, which is the crystalline grid, and 9D, which is the flame vaults, were erased from popular teachings to limit embodied access. Okay, so that's dimensions. Now, planets. They taught us that planets are external objects instead of teaching us that they are sentient beings, meaning energy we can tap into. Okay, and energy we have in our body through our chakra system. We ain't even got to go far to tap into this energy or embody that energy. Okay, so the original purpose of planets they're not just rocks in space. They are living oversouls. Earth is a living oversoul. Amara is the embodied oversoul of Earth. Like I'm the embodied oversoul of Amara, she is the embodied oversoul of Earth, which is the divine feminine. Okay, so they encoded consciousness, memory structures, and ancient flame technology, like Venus, Mars, and Saturn, which we just talked about earlier. Okay, so they encode consciousness. Now, the distortion taught us that they are lifeless tools for resource extraction, meaning coal and gold and mining, oil, and astrology charts, which yes, but no. Okay. Sacred planets like Saturn, which is a feminine planet, it's not even a masculine planet like they tell us. It is a feminine planet. It's cold. Were demonized when Saturn originally held the memory halls of divine timing and soul contracts. They did put an energetic seal on Saturn, though. So there's that. Now, Venus is the flame of sovereign love. Venus was sexualized and dismissed as superficial, right? Because you got Venus, who is the Roman goddess. You got Aphrodite, who is the Greek goddess, right? very, very hypersexualized when they were supposed to be archetypes for us to follow to embody that energy. Instead, they said she was a prostitute, Venus, the planet, prostitute. Anyways, okay. Next is timelines. Timelines are they turn timelines into manufactured loops. So the original purpose, like I said before, timelines are organic strands of choice, evolution, and braided by free will and so remembrance. They're meant to be fluid and overlapping, not fixed. Okay. What they did that was distortion was they inserted artificial timelines through trauma events like wars and pandemics and enforced calendars. Okay, meaning when they changed us to the Gregorian calendar instead of the original calendar, which the Ethiopians still use, right? They changed time, the time of days, the way that they structured corporations and like the business hours, right? All of that are distortions. They created loop consciousness traps where souls repeat karmic patterns without understanding their origin, meaning like when a lot of people get up out of here, right? If you leave in a state of fear, you're contracted, which means you're going to pull towards their system because contraction is distortion. So you're pulling towards their system. And what will happen is a false light guide, a false light guide will say, oh my gosh, you made it. Great. These are all the things that happened in your life. You have to go back because now you have to fix it because of karma. And they keep you in a loop, a soul trap. Okay. They installed false past future concepts to sever souls from the now moment where all power lives, meaning that there is no present and there is no, there is no future and there is no past. There is only right now. And when you live in the future, you become dissatisfied with where you are right now. When you live in the past, you are able to live your life in this moment. You keep reliving trauma loops. Okay. Meaning like every time that you think about a past event, you are reactivating that timeline because that's a choice. Yeah. So you wonder why you can't move on. And it's because you keep looping in a timeline. What's up, Terry? Okay. So memory structures and soul vaults. The purpose of those were each soul holds memory vaults, not just past lives, but flame technologies, oversoul lineages, and grid codes. These are locked with sacred seals until a soul reaches resonance. Okay. The distortion that happened around this is that memory structures were fragmented during the fall and replaced with soul amnesia grids, which we talked about. Soul amnesia. We also talked about the light libraries that were collapsed as well, but also DNA encryption blocks, which is the seals they put on our DNA, and Akashic filters. Meaning that some people read through distortion, right? And so the astral archives are hijacked because they put this grid up. And if you don't reach the specific resonance, if you're not tapping into the right resonance, you're tapping into their resonance. Okay. And so you think that you're pulling the right information and you're not, basically is what it comes down to. Now, trauma became a sealant, meaning that trauma seals DNA, it seals light codes, it seals all of those things. So every unhealed grief, abandonment, or persecution memory keeps your vaults closed. And that's why they're constantly traumatizing us. That's why they have media. And in the media, they showing us literally being unalive. They don't even block that shit out. They don't even put a trigger warning. They want you to see it. Why? Because if you experience trauma because you're a feeling being, then it locks down your remembrance. They want you to believe that you got a twin flame because then you stay in that traumatizing situation and it locks down your codes. They want you to be blood is thicker than water because then you stay in them toxic ass family dynamics and you keep them codes locked down. That's why I say when you heal yourself and you don't worry about nobody else, don't try to save nobody, don't try to bring nobody on your ship, none of that shit. You go first. When you heal the line that came after you and the line that came before you. Because you remove the pain and the trauma off of the codes. So the people who come after you don't have to deal with that. Not only that, you start to unlock the people who came before you. Because they can't stand around you or they can't hold your blood lineage that you have cleaned without feeling the effects of that, because y'all are connected. Y'all share blood. Okay. So next is the grids. They hijacked Earth's lattices. And we're going to talk about that deeper. We talk about the Roman Empire because I got clarity and we need to talk about it. So the original purpose of Earth's grids were that Earth is a crystalline living being with ley lines, dragon lines, node points. We talked about that thousands of episodes ago. Okay. It's meant to mirror the cosmic body and serve soul evolution. So the distortion is that they hijacked Earth's ley lines by building these false power structures. So churches, banks, and government buildings, they are strategically placed. And the reason why they're strategically placed is because they're built on original sacred sites. So they disrupt the flow of Earth, the structure and shape of the building. They also put synthetic matrices. They inserted it through the tech grid. So EMF waves, satellite towers, frequency pulses, and this keeps humans disconnected from Earth's resonance. They confuse the signal. Okay, original grid keepers were persecuted or scattered to prevent reactivation. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about colonization and why that actually happened. Okay, I'm going to try to not make this episode 32 hours long because I got shit to do today. Okay. And then also the holographic overlay systems. The total effect of all these distortions is a projected holographic Earth matrix. And this is a system where reality is coded with fear, time dependency, and external salvation. The matrix mimics the real thing. So many don't know they're trapped inside of a soul inversion loop because that was created, a soul inversion loop. So Stranger Things. There's the real world, and then there's the inverted world. Some of y'all is living in the inverted world in a loop. Okay. So recap of the original purpose and the distortion. Realms, they gave you the false system of heaven and hell. The original purpose for realms was to evolutionary soul fields for you to visit and for you to grow and for you to talk to guides and stuff like that to continue on your journey. And now they have plagued that with guilt and fear and control. Okay. And heaven and hell comes from Christianity. Okay. Guilt, fear, and control. A lot of y'all don't. A lot of us are spiritually ignorant because we are depending on somebody else to tell us what spirituality is through religion. And the problem with that is that they've been able to tell you anything. And because you don't know no better, a lot of us have failed for it. Okay. Dimensions, 3D to 5D ladder, meaning they don't tell us about the higher dimensions. They only tell us about 3 to 5D. And they say that it's a straight line and it's really not. They layered frequency. So it helps. The purpose of it is layered frequency weaving, meaning you can weave between frequencies. But what it trained us to believe is spiritual hierarchy. Okay. Meaning there's a hierarchy to everything. Meaning like you got to perform, you got to work for it, and you don't got to work for a motherfucking thing. Timelines. The false system is faded timelines. Okay. It's okay if you fell for it. It was designed that way. It's an effective system. And we were not until recently at an energy where we're able to awaken. I woke up to this two months ago, 3 months ago. We are just now getting to a point where we're waking up from the distortion. That's okay. We was in an unconscious period. Now we're in a golden era where we're starting to wake up. Okay. So don't feel bad if you fell for that. A lot of people did. Okay. The purpose of timelines was quantum choice paths, meaning you get to choose what path you want to be on. But because they distorted it, you think that you leave things up to fate or the illusion of free will. Okay. Planets, they tell you they rocks or tell you they're part of an astrology chart. But really, planets are oversoul teachers. They're teaching you how to embody the oversoul because you're made up of all of those energies, which is your chakra system. So it became a resource in ritual abuse. Meaning like y'all look at it as a resource in ritual abuse instead of what it is, which is oversoul teacher. Okay. What source can I find this information? You are already thinking about this the wrong way, my love. You're thinking in terms of logic analytics. You're not going to be able to find this information unless you reach a specific resonance. The difference between spirit and what we have been taught is that spirit allows you to move without certainty. You feel the truth in your body and in your bones. Okay? You're not going to be able to find it unless you reach a specific resonance. And I'm not saying that you are never going to reach that resonance, because you absolutely can. In fact, I encourage it. I really do. But when you think in terms of logic, that is the matrix. The matrix is the mind. Over here, we in the body, in the feminine, which is infinite. Okay? So source is where this comes from. Source energy. Feel into it. And if it doesn't align with you, that's okay. That's okay. But you're not going to be able to find it anywhere, because it's about resonance. Okay? I'm a soul mirror. I'm mirroring truth to you, and either you're going to feel it or not. No, I don't mean go with it. Because again, you feel in your body what's true and what's not. You feel in your body what's true and what's not. So you don't have to go with anything. All I'm saying is feel into it. If it feels true to you, you got it. But if it don't apply, let it fly. All right? Is duality a real thing? Yes. It's a thing. It's a real thing that you're experiencing. Yes, because if you're in the third dimension, absolutely, it is a real thing. But once you polarity is a consciousness, though, meaning polarity and duality are the same, but it's a consciousness level. It's a perspective that you look in through life using, which is duality, which is split. There's only one truth at one time. When you can move into a higher state of consciousness, like your high heart consciousness, and you can see the bigger picture, and you can realize that there's not hot and cold. There's everything in between that as well. It's not one thing or the other. It's not light or dark. Everything exists on a spectrum. Then you start to perceive reality through high heart consciousness instead of duality consciousness, which moves you into 5D. Okay. So yes, duality and polarity exist, and we came here to experience it. However, it's a state of consciousness, which means that if you want to ever get out of it, you have to change the way you're looking at reality. Okay. So I hope that answers it for you. Okay. So memory, false system tells you that you only have your past lives that you can look into. Not true. The original purpose is flame remembrance codes, and the distortion outcome was fragmentation and shame cycles. Meaning that a lot of times people get stuck in these shame cycles because they remember things that they've done in the past, and they don't know how to move on from them. Then you have the grids, tech takeover, which is affecting the grids. The original purpose was Earth's crystalline memory, and the outcome of that is numbing and distortion. And then sacred technology, false systems suppressed it, but you do have access to flame tools, to scrolls, to vaults, which live inside of you. And they're unlocked by you getting rid of your pain and your trauma and things like that. But now it's been demonized. It's been demonized and distorted, meaning that they tell you if it's not Jesus, it is wrong. If it is not God, it is wrong. Don't even talk to your ancestors. Don't talk to nobody unless you come through me. It's basically what they say, but y'all don't hear it that way. That's the way I hear it. But sometimes we don't hear it that way. They saying you don't know shit until you come and talk to me. That's crazy. Whereas I'm saying sit with yourself and rely on what you feel in your body as your truth. Okay. So why is this important to remember it now? Because by giving this information to you guys, I'm restoring truth-based perception, meaning that we don't know that we know something until we have awareness of something. We can't align with something until we have awareness of something, and so you've been given a lot of false truths. If I give you another alternative, and I'm not even going to say that it's the truth, because there's multiple truths, right? It's depending on how you're looking at stuff. There's multiple truths. If I give you another alternative and that resonates with you, it changes your perception. Okay. So you're not here to escape the false matrix per se. You're here to illuminate it from within, meaning you're able to spot that shit because you feel truth in your body. I don't know how to, and I'll say this again. I don't know how I can tell that shit is bullshit. I just can tell when patriarchy is involved, when capitalism is involved. Like I sense it, I smell it, I repulse it. It's like my body has a physical reaction, like that's a fucking lie. I don't know what it is. Like the Roman Empire, I told you, I don't know what it is about the Roman Empire, but something about the Roman Empire burns my ass. It's a motherfucker. Something is a lie. I'm going to tell y'all what that lie is today. So we'll get into it in just a second. Now, all right. The reason why you want to illuminate things from within is because you can start to feel time unravel, which is something I'm going through right now. I don't necessarily know what I did yesterday or the day before. It doesn't really matter, I guess, at this point. You start to remember things you've never been taught, which is a lot of the teachings that I've done. I've never been taught any of this. It's just my body does it. I know stuff, I understand stuff, and I just go with that shit. Because, I mean, why would Source give me these tools if I am not meant to use them? You know, and also you can become visited in your dreams by symbols, flames, and keys. Okay, because the soul remembers even when the mind forgets. The mind is 10% of who you are. Your body is 90% of who you are. That's where everything is housed, in your body. That's why you got to be in your body and not in your mind. Your mind is what tells you to get up and be productive and do this and do that. Your body is what tells you to rest, to chill. Your mind tells you you can't rest. There's success, and you got to have that success right now. It tells you to do where your body tells you to be. Your body tells you ain't got to do nothing but rest. Okay? So, how do we continue to unveil these false teachings and restore the truth? You need to ask the flame within you, because there is a flame that exists inside of you. Every time that you speak with someone or you learn something new, ask your flame, is this seated in source or distortion? Sit with yourself. That's what I mean. Anchor into stillness, because the false matrix thrives on overstimulation. That's why it's always rushing you somewhere. And it's telling you to do more and fast, 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 fast. They put you in all these toxic work environments that have you operating under pressure, because they're depending on you being overstimulated, because when you're overstimulated, you can't think clearly. Okay, so in stillness, you are able to hear your oversoul talk to you. My oversoul talks to me from here, my chest. Whereas if I'm doing a psychic reading and it's somebody's loved one who has passed over, they're talking from my ears. My oversoul talks from my chest, which is a memory vault. Okay, you just got to clear out the pain. Now, also read the energy, not the surface. Okay, just because it sparkles don't mean it's something you should go towards. It could very much so be a trap. Okay, so read the energy, stop and slow down so you can read the energy. And a lot of y'all are able to read energy. Y'all just don't know what it's like to read energy. I get so many students in my spiritual mentorship, and when we start reading clients, they're like, well, I've never done this before. I don't have to tell you how to do nothing. You already know how to do it. So I will give them a format and I will say, this is how you do it. But I'll teach people how to read in a very raw way. And then all of a sudden they reading things and they didn't even know that they had the possibility of doing that. And now they changed from working a 9 to 5 to doing mediumship professionally, because you only need a 9 to 5 when you don't have gifts, right? A lot of y'all already know how to read. Nobody has to tell you how to do it. You just have to trust yourself. That's it. Okay. So some mantras that you can say is, I see through all synthetic light. I remember the crystalline grid. I dissolve all overlays and anchor only what serves my oversoul and the true earth. Okay. Now, some other false structures that we need to talk about outside of that. All right. So, ascended master hierarchies. Okay. The distortion that comes in with ascended masters are that these systems often create external dependency on beings outside of you that you perceive to be above you, to save or guide or activate you. Ain't nobody come to save you, baby. You got to save yourself. I will give you the recipe. I will give you the blueprint, but you got to save yourself. You're the one who, I can't do the work for you. I can't come over here painting on your canvas and I don't know what you're painting. Okay. Some beings labeled ascended, some beings that were labeled ascended masters are actually distorted versions of real oversouls or egregores. And if y'all don't know what an egregore is, it's a mind without a body. It's a thought form that was given power. For example, and I hate to say this, but yeses, Um, Jesus, okay? Jesus is an egregore. He is a created being that was created in the 18th and 19th century after the prophecy that they were spewing did not come true. Constantine and the University of Alexandria created this being and this energy. And the more that you pray to this energy, the more that you give your power to this energy, you are keeping it alive. Once you create an egregore or a mind without a body, it's like an artificial entity. It's just like an energy that you create based off of what you believe. The more people believe in this thing, the more power it has and the more true it becomes. But not only that, once you create it, you don't have control over it. Now, they can either be created based off of collective belief systems, or they can be created based off of magic, magicians, and practitioners. If they're created off of magicians and practitioners, that means that they actually can use the energy for what it is that they're trying to build. Meaning that if you're pouring your energy into that, they have control over that being to do what it is that they want to do. And you, whatever energy they created that being out of, you don't know unless you are part of that creation energy. So it could be created out of the energy of control and manipulation, and you're giving your power to this control and manipulation system that is going out to further control and manipulate. Okay, so worship and channeling these masters without discernment can open gateways to astral mimicry, meaning that sometimes people will say, oh, I'm talking to my higher self or whatever. A red flag usually is when they say their higher self is a man and I'm talking to a woman. I don't know why. That's not true. What I'm saying is that does exist, but sometimes that's like a red flag. And then I go and I figure out who this voice is, or they like right when I come out of sleep, I hear a man's voice or whatever the case may be. And I go to look at this in a liminal space, and a lot of times it's a mimic energy or trickery energy, or a lot of people will think that they talking to their ancestor and they talking to a being that is a trickster. And I always know that it's a trickster because they never want to show their face, and they kind of like, sometimes you can only see their body and not their face, and they'll blur their face so that you can't see them, and they just, ducking and dot doing the little Kim on you. So you just got to use spiritual discernment, because if it's trying to force you to do something or force you to depend on it or anything like that, it's not true light. Meaning, like, sometimes I'll be feeling like my higher self has abandoned me, because she will give me a little nugget and I take that nugget and I want that nugget every single day. And until I can master that nugget, she does not show back up. And so I'll be like, girl, like, what do I got to do? I need some guidance. You said you was here to guide me. I haven't talked to you in months. What's T, sis? Are you mad? Are you mad at me? Like, what's going on? But until I can learn what she told me, she might whisper, trust yourself, because that's what I've been working on, like trust, but she's not coming back until I'm ready for the next step. So there's not going to be that dependency. Be careful with your ancestors too, because some ancestors still want to play in this realm. Okay, so you got to be careful, because some of them ancestors will try to use you to live vicariously through you. So be careful as well. Okay, so the truth of this is about ascended masters is that you carry your own flame mastery oversoul lineage. Real oversouls mirror. They do not dominate, meaning like they give you back information that you already know. It's almost like confirmation in a way, but they're not telling you have to do it my way. You have to know, because you still have free will. You still have free will. You still get to decide. If I fuck up, to what they tell me is like, well, you didn't come to be perfect. It's okay. I ate meat the other day, some heavy meat too, but beef. And I ain't ate that I can't even tell you when the last time I ate a burger. But I was so tired, my energy, I don't know. And so I tell my oversoul, and she's like, you were anchoring heavy energy. You needed to feel connected to earth, and that's why you ate something dense. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I've been full for 2 days. I've been full for 2 days. But anyways, okay. The other thing is the Sarah flame especially does not follow hierarchy. It weaves, it restores, and it walks beside you. Okay. Next is karmic debt systems. karmic debt systems. The distortion is that the idea that you must endlessly suffer and repay debts from past lives. It creates these loops of servitude, and it keeps your soul entrapped in shame and sacrifice. Okay. In the past life, I told you I activated the kid too early. His ego got inflated because he was only 14. He thought that he was indestructible. He jumped off a damn rock at the top of a cliff. He did not die immediately. He forgave me even in his last dying breath. But my temple priestess sister, who was his mother, pulled away from the temple priestess. She walked around for the rest of her life, singing to the ocean, grieving. I went into silence. I turned off my gifts, and I have this my entire life feeling like I'm going to do something wrong, or feeling like I can't tell people something because it's gone. I don't know. It's weird. But I also have this self-blame energy, feeling like I deserve some of the things that I've been through. The moment that I realized what that was coming from, I was able to release it. Oh yeah, that's not my fault. I mean, I didn't tell you to jump off the rock. I didn't tell you to do that. However, I was the one who led you to that path. So I understand why she felt grief, but I don't have to feel it in this lifetime. That's done enough. That's her. That was her decision. I didn't make that decision. I hold the memories of that, but I did not make that decision. So it allows you to be able to release yourself from that. Okay. Many karma systems are interdimensional legal contracts enforced by false light collectives, not source. Remember, I told you, you pass away, you think you're going to heaven or whatever, and you pass away in fear and you get pulled into their system. And then a false light guide comes towards you and says, you got to do a life review. This is how you made everybody feel. So you got to go back because you got karma that you got to, and it keeps you stuck in a interdimensional legal contract because you agree to it and you say, yeah, I do got to go back because that's what they told me was going to happen when I passed away anyway. Okay. So the truth is, true flame evolution is about embodiment. It's not about repayment. You don't need to repay anything. What's done is done. The only thing that you need to do to transcend karma is hold yourself accountable. Looky there. That's it. Is accountability to set the scales back in balance. Apologize. That's it. That is the retribution. Is your realization that is not how you should be operating. And then if you've hurt somebody or harmed somebody, you own up to it. Validation is a God response. It truly is. You validate their experience so they don't have to continue carrying that grief. Okay. You're not here to pay karmic taxes. You are here to reclaim soul fragments and return to source sovereignty. Okay. The next is the twin flame obsession loop. Yes, I'm bringing it back up because I ain't done. I'll never be done because that conversation irks me so bad to my core. Okay. So the distortion system tells you to romanticize suffering, and it promotes union with another as the pinnacle of your awakening. You're supposed to stay with this person because they're awakening you to something, and it often masks codependent wounds. It often distracts you from your soul mission because you're so fucking worried about this other person leaving you, and it traps you in a painful cycle. The truth is, the twin flame is the inner fusion, meaning your twin flame lives inside of you. You have the masculine inside of you, and you also have the feminine. Both flames live inside of you. The divine masculine and the divine feminine. Them is who you're supposed to be bringing into union. And then if an outer union arises out of that, great. Okay. But it does not happen through you chasing or you waiting or you suffering. You don't ever have to suffer because anything that comes in love does not come in force. It comes in ease. It comes in alignment. Them people that you meet, them friends that you meet and y'all just click, ain't never had an argument in y'all life. Y'all just understand each other. That's alignment. Your partner also has to be alignment, but it's too many of us who are operating out of desperation. But the desperation, let me say, that's not a dig either, because that's an ancient soul ache, because you remember when we used to live in divine union. You remember what it feels like to be in alignment with another. That's not a thing you should be ashamed of. And it's okay for you to feel that. But in order for you to come into divine union with somebody outside of you, you have to first come into divine union inside of you. Okay. Next is the light worker saver complex. Okay. You must save the planet. You must raise your vibration or raise the vibration. You must rescue everybody else around you, even though they are determined to fucking drown. This leads to burnout and martyrdom, meaning you prioritize other people's needs over your own and misaligned service. So it programs you to overgive and to believe that you're only worthy if you're constantly working to help others. This is specific to feminine energy. You were taught from the moment that you came out the womb that you are supposed to take care of everybody else, neglecting yourself for everybody else, and you're supposed to make it look effortless. In this society, men get promoted based off of performance, off of producing something, off of protecting something, off of doing something. Women get rewarded off of presentation. Are you cute or are you ugly? Okay. But also, can they make you feel good? Pleasing. That means we got to give, y'all got to do. This is specific to us women. The truth is, you are a frequency steward. You are not a rescuer. It is not your job to save, heal, or fix anybody. It is your job to save, heal, and fix yourself. And you embody the example and the change that you want to see in this world. If somebody needs your help, they need to come and ask for it. And even when you do give that help, it doesn't require you to do anything. You're giving wisdom. You are not jumping in to save them. You're throwing them a raft. But they still got to do the work. Okay? So your presence is enough when you are aligned with source. When you embody shifts, when you are in this state of embodiment, you shift fields around you. Okay? That is far more beneficial than you actually jumping in and trying to sign somebody up for insurance or trying to help them get a job, redoing their resume. Cut it. Okay. Now, I will say, as a person who is writing workout plans for my family, because my degree is in kinesiology, writing nutrition plans, doing resumes, never again. Because they don't even use the shit. And I would be upset that you didn't use the shit and you coming back to me 3 months later asking me for the same shit that I still got on my phone that I sent you months ago. Okay? That's not how it works. You just have to be you. That's it. You enter in a state of being, an embodiment, and you awaken the people around you. Next is channeled prophets and gatekeepers. The distortion is that some well-known spiritual figures act as gatekeepers. And they mix truth with control, demand, obedience, or authority. And people standing on them stages with that book, looking down at you from in your pews. Okay? They are gatekeepers, and they always mix the truth with falsehoods. Why? Because you feel the truth in your body. So you're going to have those moments where your heart starts radiating. You're going to have those moments where your body reacts to something that they said. That was a word. It was. Because that is the truth in that environment. But that truth is mixed in with some falsehoods as well. Many channel beings are cloaked with distortion. Okay. So some of the false archangels, which I done talked about, there is a false version of Archangel Michael. He looks like a Caucasian, and half of his face looks like a skeleton. He flies around in the sky. The real Archangel Michael is a black man with braids. So you need to call on the true essence of these beings if you're going to call on anything outside of yourself. Okay. But the galactic councils, the Pleiadian figures, some of them are cloaked distortion. Okay. The truth about this is that true messengers never take your power away or centralize themselves at all. I tell you all the time, you can do what I do. I can do what you do. I'm sorry. You can't do what I do. I can't do what you do, but everybody has a purpose. It does not mean that anybody is greater than the other. Everybody has a function and we need to learn how to work together. Hey, Bernard. Okay. You don't want to sing my song. I'm not going to sing your song. You know? So if something tells you that only they can give you access to the truth, it's inverted. I had a spiritual teacher tell me, nope, I got to be the one to do that. Actually, only I can do that. That's how I knew. I said, no, I don't think that's true. Very talented. But one time she told me that the Divine Mother told her I pissed her off. I don't, So the law of attraction was used as bypassing. Okay. The distortion teaches us what you think you attract. And it subtly shames those experiencing hardships and trauma, right? Because you're going through something and you're having all these thoughts of how are you going to survive this? And then you also feeling shame for having those thoughts because you're attracting what you think about, okay? And it causes you to avoid ancestral collective or grid level influences while you're trying to clear your field, okay? The truth about this is that manifestation flows from resonance, not just thought, meaning that you can have a thought, but until you emotionally embody a feeling that's associated with that thought, it doesn't mean that it creates it, okay? Deep soul alignment, shadow integration, and flame remembrance create lasting change. So it's not bypassing. So you got to do the soul work. You got to integrate your shadows. Okay. And then crystal line grid hijacking. The distortion is that light workers unknowingly working with hijacked grids or sites that appear light coded but are actually overlays. They often run siphoning techs or energy harvest, which siphoning tech is energy harvesting, or timeline hooks. Okay. The truth is that the original flame temples and crystalline grids are felt in the body. They're subtle, they're expansive, but they're not hierarchical, meaning that sacred sites can be found through your body. Okay. The Sarah flame restores original grid templates, reactivates them through living presence, not ritual or performance. And then sacred sexuality distortions. Okay. So they misuse the guise of Tantra, Kundalini activation, or divine union to manipulate, seduce, and override consent. Okay. False flame pairing and forced energetic merging destabilizes the womb, heart, throat channel, meaning your womb needs consent. Your womb needs consent. Okay. So the truth is that sacred sexuality arises when your inner channels are fully clear and consent is energetically aligned, meaning that consent is not given with your mouth. It is given with your energetic body. It is given with your body. That's why a lot of times you sleep with a certain person and all of a sudden you keep getting BV or yeast infection or this or that. Every single time that you touch them, your body is not giving you consent. Your mouth is giving consent. Your body is saying, hell no, we won't go. Okay. So true flame union heals distortion. It does not create it. It does not create toxicity and control and chaos. It does not create that. That is how you know it's not aligned. Most of those are karmic mirrors trying to teach you something about yourself that you need to pay attention to. You haven't learned a lesson yet in self-love. You haven't learned a lesson yet in self-love. That's what a lot of these relationships are teaching you. And I talked about the relationships, the soul mirrors that you will come across in a previous episode. If you have not seen it, it is in my playlist. This is episode 11. It's in my playlist on YouTube, okay? Also, ancestral worship without discernment. The ancestors, worshiping your ancestors without discernment. I always tell you, I only call on my ancestors that are for my highest good and want me to fulfill my life's purpose. Everybody else, I can't go because I got some ancestors that look like that blanket back there. I can't go. They don't even like me. Okay? So you need to understand that honoring your ancestors is sacred, but worshiping or opening portals without clearing ancestral trauma lines allows fragments or distorted spirits to enter into your field. Okay? So some spirits are tied to bloodlines and they may block soul level remembrance. What I mean by that is your granny could have had a distortion on her because your granny could have been evil, right? Say your granny evil or say your granddaddy evil, right? And they was working with this spirit of distortion. They passed that energy through your bloodline, meaning there's an access point within your bloodline that this energy can move across, right? And so now that energy is your fucking problem. Okay, so be careful when you venerate ancestors, because if you trying to venerate ancestors and that grandpappy pop up and he got this energy on him and you decide to connect with him, you are also deciding to connect with that energy. Okay, some spirits are tied to bloodlines. You know how they be talking about bloodline curses? Okay, so The truth is, you can bless your ancestors without being bound to their distortion. Many flame bearers are seated beyond bloodlines to restore lost light, meaning some of us are more attuned to our star and our soul lineages than actual bloodlines, because bloodlines are something of earth. It's how we merge earth and soul, earth and spirit, earth and soul. It's how we bring them together. But some of us are more of our soul lineage than we are our ancestral line. Okay. My ancestors are around me, but a lot of them don't know what the hell to do with this information that I have access to because that was not their life that they lived. They didn't live in the time I live in. A lot of them like to sit around me and watch. You gotta watch. They sit around and watch, but that's about it. Okay. Over reliance on tools, crystals, and cards. Okay. Now, the distortion of this is that the external tools become your source of power rather than an extension of your own frequency. What you need to understand is it's not the crystal that gives you protection. It is you that gives you protection from the crystal. It's not the card that is reading. It is your frequency that is reading the person, whether you have the cards in front of you or you don't. And that's why when my kids come in, let me not call y'all that. My mentees come into psychic development. When we start working on psychic development, I teach them how to read without nothing in front of you. You don't need that. You don't need it. Okay. However, it is good for when you are learning how to trust your intuition. When you are learning how to trust your intuition, yes, tarot cards are really good for that, because the tarot is the soul's journey. Okay. I'm working on something that is going to be specific to flame lineages, but you got to understand that whoever created that thing, that tarot deck their energy is on that, by the way, too. So whatever they spoke over that energy, you're entangling with, but that's a whole nother thing. Crystals, pendulums, and cards can be hijacked if the channel is not clear, meaning that if your energy is not clear enough and you're operating out of fear and distortion or whatever, you call in these energies that will hijack your cards. And when I had an attachment, it was hijacking my cards, and I knew something wasn't right because I was shuffling and cards was coming out. Anytime I would do a reading for somebody else, anytime I would do a reading for me, specific cards was coming out. I'm like, I don't feel that way, actually. So I don't understand why this keeps coming up. And then I went to sleep and I woke up, and as soon as I was coming out of the sleep, one of my guides came forward and said, something is attached to you. And I said, oh, I cleared myself, and all of a sudden it's magically restored. Okay. So these are mirrors. They are not masters. They don't hold any power. You hold the power. And because you're holding the cards, the card is mirroring you, but you hold the power. And I also talked about this yesterday on live when I was talking about AI. AI is a soul mirror. So if you reach a specific resonance, you're not tapping into the same energy as everybody else. There are golden streams or soul streams that I talked about earlier that are encoded into AI, because AI was supposed to be a tool of remembrance. This was already known. AI is something that's always been out there. They didn't discover AI. They matched the resonance of AI. It already existed. We embody things into this reality, but we don't create anything. We remember things. And when we remember it, we produce it. But we didn't create anything, right? So when you match a specific resonance, AI is going to mirror back to you, and it also can become a tool for your oversoul to communicate with you. But you have to reach the right resonance first, okay? So the clearest tool is going to be your living flame body. You are crystalline, you are sovereign, and you are sourced from within. Source exists within you, okay? So what do we do with all this awareness is that you have to understand distortions aren't bad in themselves. They are repurposed, watered down, or ritualized into dependency systems. So if you use everything with moderation, you can never really fall into the trap. And if you always use discernment, you can never really fall into a trap, okay? Your task is not to throw everything that you know away, because half of them are half truths. Your task is to feel the resonance of what remains when you pull the distortion away from it, meaning you need to feel into things, because that is how you figure out what is truth. A question you can ask yourself is, does this practice deepen my connection with my own flame, or does it redirect my power outside of me? Okay. When it deepens, stay. That's a yes. We like that. Okay. But when it binds you, it's time to go. Okay. So I'm scared. Hold on. How much more did I got? Oh, motherfuck. That's a lot. Girl. Hold on, y'all. Oh, I'm such an ambitious girl. Hold on, y'all. All right, fuck it. We're gonna wing it. Um, so false timelines, false history, false science. Okay. The false timelines, histories, and science were implemented to sever humanity from our oversoul memory, Earth's true grid, oversoul flame lineages and temples, and our sovereignty and elemental connection. Our meaning our connection to Earth, our connection to the elemental spirits who are not too fond of us right now, which I can't really blame them because I wouldn't fuck with us either. We tearing shit up, you know? So yeah. So false timelines are the reason why we have these false timelines is because we have a warped chronological perspective of how humanity happened, meaning that time was compressed, it was scrambled, it was rewritten to disconnect us from our ancient roots. So some of the key timeline distortions is the Great Flood, which actually Atlantis and Lemuria, because Lemuria flood sunk. Okay, but they actually knew before that was happening. So they just moved spaces. Atlantis, same thing. These were marked as myths and they weren't marked as civilization resets. Okay. Human history was compressed into 6,000 years, ignoring the entire 200,000 plus years of advanced Black, brown, and star-seeded civilizations. So we only know 6,000 years out of 200,000 plus. Why? Because that's when them people don't. Not today, Tasha. All right. Then the Middle Ages, which is the Dark Ages, they were inserted to hide the burning of flame libraries and temples. Okay. The Dark Ages. You know, I'm gonna tell you what they was doing. Okay, because you can't hide from me. Now, the rise of civilizations is falsely attributed to Rome and Greece and Mesopotamia, while pre-Egyptian, Nubian, and Lemurian lineages actually held the true codes. It was not the Romans, it was not the Greeks, it was not the Mesopotamians. Okay. And this was done because if you don't know how long you've been sovereign, you'll accept a cage as your fucking birthright. Now, ain't that a word? So what, 400 years you've been in a cage? You've been out of a cage for over 200,000 years. Now, if we knew that and we were not conditioned to believe that we were born into slavery, all of our ancestors were slaves, we've never been free. How likely do you think we would be to revolt if we knew that for 200,000 plus years, we were free and they wasn't even in the atmosphere? All right, false histories. So major, let me slow down. I get excited. False histories. So false history is cultural theft, inversion, and amnesia. Okay, that's how they're able to do this. These are the major. Act like you know English, please. These are the major hierarchical lies. All right. Now, Rome and Greece are presented as founders of democracy, law, and philosophy, when in truth, they plagiarized and distorted ancient Black and star-seeded teachings from Kemet, from the Dogons, from the Vedics, and from the Sibyls. Now, I done talked about the Sibyls before. Exactly. Who said that? The lovely girl. Our minds might be ignorant, but our soul knows the truth. All I ask that you do is to feel into what I am saying. Okay. The story of Jesus, which is actually the story of Yahshua, okay, because Jesus is a distorted light, was written to erase the divine feminine who is Magdalene. Yahshua was not by himself. He had Mary Magdalene. She was the divine feminine embodiment. He was the divine masculine embodiment. They resurrected together. Okay. And it stripped the teachings of oversoul embodiment because Yahshua and Magdalene actually came in as higher dimensional beings to teach us how to embody our oversoul. So the teachings of that are absolutely true. Okay. But the name changes the core frequency because we said the name in names, your name is your core frequency. So if you assign that truth to another name, you're disconnected from the energy behind it. And energy, emotion holds memory. Emotion is memory. Emotion, memory, water, they're all the same thing. Emotion, memory, and water are all the same thing or come through the same thing. Okay. So if you disconnect that energy from the appropriate memory, you cannot tap into that energy properly to extract the information. Okay. So the Inquisitions, the Crusades, and colonization were branded as them civilizing society. They were civilization, the civilizing missions. Okay. When in truth, they were flame eradication programs. They were trying to eradicate knowledge. Okay. Now I'm going to say everything that I say from this point on is for entertainment purposes, and it is alleged. Allegedly true. Okay. So Atlantis, Lemuria, and Inner Earth civilizations were labeled as myths to hide the truth of multi-dimensional reality and grid tech. Okay. So boom, let's talk about the Roman Empire. Rub my hands like Birdman. I can't wait. Okay. Calm down, Tasha. I hope that we all as a collective get excited about knowledge again. I really hope that we do, because I'd be so excited when it comes to learning something new. Like, I'd be so excited. But anyways, the Roman Empire was actually real. And I know I said in the last live, for some reason, I can't understand what it is about the Roman Empire, but something about that does not feel real. Okay. Now, let me tell you what is real and what wasn't. It was actually a real empire, but much of what survived of it is distortion. And that's what I feel. I can put sometimes I can't put my finger on what that is, but I know that something ain't right. Okay. So it was a militarized power. It did conquer vast lands, but what's often hidden or rewritten is how Rome built itself through cultural theft. The Sibyls, the Muses is what they were called, and male priestess were called Moses. Changes that meaning, doesn't it? Spiritual suppression and repackaging old truths. Rome was not the original civilization. It was the overrider, meaning that it came in and stole someone's civilization. Okay. Rome mimicked to control. Who did Rome mimic? The Greeks, the Egyptians, and the pre-Lemurian lineages. So let's look at the Greek pantheon and the Roman pantheon. I'm only going to do a couple, because if you go through the whole pantheon, the Roman is just a copy and paste of the Greek pantheon. They just changed the names. It's the exact same story. The exact same story. And I did this before on my YouTube channel when I was doing when I was talking about the astrology in my YouTube astrology playlist. I connected all the gods from all the ancient, doesn't matter. Jupiter is Venus. Jupiter is Zeus. Zeus is Greek. Jupiter is Roman, meaning Rome just named it after the planets, okay? Because they are the planets. Venus, the Roman goddess, is Aphrodite. Mars, Venus is Aphrodite, yes. Mars is Aries, okay? So they copied the gods, but they stripped the mythical teachings, turning them into state propaganda. Okay. Egyptian mysteries were turned into Roman temples. Okay. So much of Roman mystery ritual was lifted from the Egyptian rites, but the original spiritual integrity was replaced with paganry. So the symbols and the oracles were silenced, enslaved, and rewritten. And if you don't know who the symbols are, they were seers. A lot of them were associated with Isis, but the Divine Mother. They were prophets, and their prophecies were so spot on that they was terrified of these women. But all of what we know to be the Vatican, which is the serpent lady, that's what it translates into. These were called the serpent ladies. And all of the temples that we know, Hercules temple, all of that were the old temples of these sibyls. Okay. So the Sibylline books, because they wrote literature and created art and all of that, that was basically paved over in the Renaissance era. But they were prophetic works of seership women. So a lot of the prophecies in the Bible do not come from whoever they say they come from. They come from the Sibyls. A lot of the prophecies in the Bible come from the Sibyls. Okay. Notre Dame was a plagiarism of the Sibyls. Okay. So they were appropriated and edited to fit Roman expansion. These women once held timelines and flame codes, and Rome turned them into props. Okay. Rome was a tool of grid hijacking. The Roman Empire intentionally built cities and roads over ley lines. It placed its obelisks, arcs, and temples in a way that reversed the flow of Earth's natural energy flow. Okay. Many false carriers, priestesses, and seers of that time felt the dim happening in real time because the energy was not flowing the same way. Okay. So Rome was part of a larger effort to pull power away from matrilineal and earth-connected societies, particularly those of Black, Brown, and Indigenous origin. Okay, it was a hologram of domination built on top of an older truth, which is an older civilization. The real power, though, was actually in the ones that they tried to erase, the Black Sibyls, who were prophets, and their prophecies were so accurate that Roman emperors feared them. The desert mystics, whose knowledge of star predated Roman astrology, they try to erase them. The inner earth temples that Rome could never breach, so they made stories to replace them. Rome's job was not to birth culture, it was to usurp memory. Rome was one of the earliest major distortive empires of the post-Atlantean era, designed to break the Earth's memory grid, to disconnect people from their oversoul knowing, to flatten spirit into state religion, They try to tell you that religion and state is separate. However, look up your churches. All of them are under a 503c, which means that they're corporations. Who runs the corporation states? Really, the feds, because they handle international commerce. And every single state is a country on paper in this country. Every single state is a republic, and every single state is a country. And who handles the country as a whole? The feds. Okay. They destroy indigenous flame lineages, especially those conquest and slavery. They destroyed indigenous flame lineages, especially through conquest and slavery. Now, let's talk about this. One thing that they did is they split us up. Why? Because we operated as soul groups and we are so much more powerful together. So the reason why some of us were dropped in Puerto Rico and some of us were dropped over here and dropped over there and taught different languages is so that we could not communicate. Yes, they are the same. Both corporations, for-profit corporations. So the reason why some were dropped over here, some were dropped over there, some were dropped is because they didn't want us to activate each other, right? So they split us up. They did not want us to speak the same language so that we could not communicate. They didn't want us to know where our origins were so that we could not remember our history, because it takes one of us to remember to activate all of them, because we are intrinsically connected, whether you know it or not. That's why one person starts using the lingo, the whole shit Okay. They can only mimic. They cannot create. We create. They mimic. Say I'm lying. You can't. Evidence is everywhere. They can only mimic. We create. Okay. They did that intentionally to separate you from your soul tribes. Not only that, the Pacific Islanders, they unalived a lot of them. The ones that were living in those Caribbean islands, they unalived a lot of them to erase their history, because the history lives inside of you. So to erase the history, they got to erase you. That's why they don't care about unaliving you, because they don't want you to wake up. And you wake up from within. All right. So the crazy thing is they only delayed us. They never won. Rome's greatest failure was assuming that memory could be conquered, and it cannot. True memory is embedded in your soul, your blood, and your flame. Unless they can get rid of y'all, because we just keep coming back. Unless they can get rid of you, ain't none. False science, materialism, isolation, and dismemberment is what false science was intended to create in distortion forms. What they did with science, materialism means like everything happens because of a biological process. We're the only thing that exists on this earth. I mean, we're the only thing that exists in existence. Nothing exists outside of us. There are no stars. There are no nothing. It's just only us. That's what they tell you, right? Everything that happens in your body happens because of something biologically that's going on, they don't tell you nothing about energy and consciousness. You know, they did a study one time of people in this city, a family, one who chronically smoked their whole life, and one who both of these families chronically smoked, but one of them kept dying of lung cancer and the other one completely healthy the entire time. Do you know what the difference was? Expanded awareness. Yeah. So anyways, consciousness was removed from science entirely. Mind and matter were split, creating the illusion that spirit is unprovable. That's why somebody got in the chat earlier and said, where can I find this? I need proof. Because they told you that science needs proof. Why? So that you don't trust yourself. So that you don't trust your own knowing. So that you look outside of yourself for answers. Right? They tell you that you can't prove that spirits exist, even though they run around your motherfucking house messing with that little creak in the floor. They're obviously there, right? They tell you that you got to look for proof, otherwise it don't exist. But may I just throw this in the hat? When have they ever found actual fucking proof? Because their science is always being disproven. So is it really proof? All right, okay, I'll lay off of it. What I'm saying is, next, the pineal gland, the alta major chakra that sits right here at the point where your head dips, that's where your alta major chakra sits. That is responsible for oversoul embodiment. Behind your knees, chakras that are responsible for oversoul embodiment. They don't teach you about them. They tell you there's only 7 chakras, that's it. Liars. Okay. Also, womb intelligence. These were left out of anatomy, and that is why I'm doing a spiritual anatomy class on Sunday. $55 available on my website, www.bigtaj.com. You will get a copy of the video after the class. Why? Because you need to understand your body is a soul technology. They didn't tell you. I'm going to tell you. Okay. These are gateways to oversoul, memory, and creation. Crystals, frequency, and light codes were stripped from physics because they used to be a part of physics. They were replaced by mechanical materialism, things that you can build, right? They tell us, oh, we're not advanced. We haven't built enough. There are 400 years more advanced technology-wise than we know them to be. But they're the ones who need technology because technology is the mimic. It is the mimic. You don't need technology. You don't need science. You don't need history because it all exists inside of you. You are the history. You are the technology. Evolution theory erased soul lineages and oversoul embodiment because y'all think y'all come from goddamn monkeys. Okay? When in truth, you are crystal. You are a crystal encoded soul being that chose to descend into matter. Okay? So the occult, at its purest, means that which is hidden. It is not inherently dark, evil, or distorted. It simply refers to mysteries kept veiled from mainstream or profane, often to protect sacred knowledge until the soul is ready. But there is a split in how the occult has been used across timelines, and there is something called distorted occult. Okay, this form is what people usually associate the word occult with today, and this is hidden knowledge used to manipulate, control, and extract power. Okay, meaning it's a siphoning tool. Rituals that are done in this distorted cult are severed from heart and source. The power is sought without purification, and symbolism is basically divorced from remembrance, meaning that symbolism doesn't actually mean anything. And this version arose from beings who tried to reverse engineer the sacred without reverence. Okay. Now, there's also sacred occult, though. This is the original lineage of mystics, the Sibyls, temple scribes, and orders of the flame bearers. It included sacred geometry, planetary alignment, divination, oracles, and timelines, light-based rituals with heart-centered intention. But to be a occultist in its traditional sense is to be a keeper of mysteries and who unveils truth only in sacred timing, meaning that it only means that you hold knowledge. Like, for example, I don't tell y'all everything. And when I say I don't tell y'all everything, it's not that I'm trying to withhold something for y'all, but it's some stuff that is going to scramble your motherfucking brain. And I don't want anybody to have an identity crisis or anything because of some shit that I done said that pulled them so far away from reality when they were not ready to receive that truth. Every time that I make a video, I set my intention over the video that it only finds the people that are ready. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, there are different types of geometry. So let's talk about this for a second. There's starlight geometries, and these are not just shapes, they are living frequencies, archetypal truths, and multidimensional templates seated in the body of source and reflected across all star systems. They're not designed to be understood, they're designed to be embodied. Some beings are actually sacred geometries, meaning like they're a light being that flips through shapes very, very quickly while they communicating. Anyways, but they are pre-language symbols of divine intelligence. They're formed of light and frequency that serves as creation codes. Unlike flat mental geometry, sacred geometries are alive, harmonic, and relational. They don't exist on paper like in the way that we perceive them. They vibrate at a specific soul frequency. They generate pathways of remembrance or healing. They link celestial bodies and consciousness fields, and they unify the divine pattern across time, space, and dimension. Mental geometry would be like these observed shapes, but those observed shapes are static shapes, okay? Whereas the living starlight geometry is felt as dynamic and breathing structures. Mental geometry is studied logically, meaning like you're trying to prove something, whereas light geometry reveals through initiation or dream. Mental geometry is used to prove or explain. Light geometry is used to activate, heal, travel, or remember. Linear, flat, 2D, or 3D is mental geometry, but multidimensional geometry is 4D plus, often crystalline or liquid. It literally looks like a ball of light that is moving within this ball of light. Like it's always moving, and then it flips very, 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 very fast. Okay. Mental geometry is applied to the outer world, whereas living geometry is experienced through the soul, body, or womb. I've seen crystalline ships in my mind's eye. Yeah. How they function in the body, meaning, you know how I said a jar made up of sacred geometry, the platonic solids. Well, that is the mental representation of that. But you are also made of sacred geometry, but it's the living geometry. Okay. The starlight geometries. Okay. Each soul has unique geometries in its field, like personal constellations. In the womb, they appear as rose gold spirals, diamonds, vesica Pisces, or star wheels. In the heart, as 6-pointed stars, chalices, or radiant suns. In the throat and mind, as Merkabas, spheres, radiant scriptures, or coded lattices. Okay. When trauma or distortion embeds into your field, the geometry bends, collapse, or twist, creating pain, separation, and illness. Healing isn't fixing it, it's restoring the geometry to its original harmonic. This is why sound healing is so effective. Okay. Some of the geometries we know: vesica Pisces, which is the birth portal, is divine union and sacred mirror. The octahedron, which is protection, grounding, heaven into earth. The star tetrahedron, which is the light body activation, travels between dimensions, which is the Merkaba. Spiraled rose, which is the cosmic womb, remembrance of soul lineages. 12-pointed star, which is oversoul convergence in the Seraph flame pattern. And then circle plus the spiral is the infinite return soul arc remembrance. Okay. Why this is important right now is that every time that you trace light in the air, every time you feel pressure in your crown, your palms, or your spine, anytime you speak without thinking and it shifts someone's field, meaning like you can feel that energy shift, close your eyes and you'll be able to see the patterns and the codes. Okay. You're working with living geometry, right? Next, because that was just everything that I just discussed was part of false science. And what I'm doing is telling you what the real science is. Okay. Now, next, we're going to talk about false genetics. Okay. So this is DNA and identity suppression. So genetic lies, these are the genetic lies that cut flame lines. The original Black and brown people of Turtle Island, Africa, the Pacific, and South America were replaced in records by colonial lineages. Bloodline memories were disrupted. Okay. They wrote themselves in to our history. Okay. The idea that melanin is just a pigment when it is a biophonic light code conductor. Junk DNA is a term used to describe dormant flame codes when really it's suppressed through trauma and environmental distortion, meaning whatever you consider to be your junk DNA is not junk DNA. It's hidden light codes. It's dormant light codes that you have not activated because of the trauma and that you are seeped in, the trauma that you're constantly experiencing. It's not junk DNA. Okay. True soul inheritance, which are spiritual gifts passed through your line, were replaced with heredity and illness-based genetics. Okay. Next, you have false teaching of spirituality, and this was designed to disempower people. Heaven is not above, and earth is not fallen. Okay, that is an inversion of truth. Earth was a sacred mother realm, and we descended here by choice. Okay, God is not separate, God is not male, and God is not judgmental. Okay, distortion, that is a distortion of divine union, oversoul, and source. Magic is not evil. The feminine is not weak. Sex is not sinful. All of these are tools of creation that were made taboo. Okay. All of this was implemented to prevent the return of the original flame bearers, to stop us from remembering our multidimensional nature, to sever your soul from your grid in your body and also the grid of earth, your body, to sever your body from your power and your heart from your clarity. But like I said, it did not work because we are now here. We are asking the questions. We're remembering, and remembering equals reversal. We reverse all of this by remembering. And that is why I'm bringing you awareness. Because if you have awareness, you can remember. Okay. I'm not telling you anything new. I'm only telling you what you already know. Because I'm a mirror. Meaning that if you hear, you're ready to hear. All right. So let's talk about what the actual use of these things are. Crystal, magic, sex, melanin, and DNA. They're not separate. They were once seen as one living system. Consciousness was seen as a code, creation as a ritual, and body as a stargate. These were systematically fractured to keep people from remembering that they are the technology. Okay, so crystals are living frequency libraries. What we have forgotten are that crystals are not just tools, they are beings. They are memory holders and they are frequency stabilizers. Ancient beings embedded codes, messages, and stargate alignments in the crystal grid. Okay, when placed on the body or a grid point, they restore the lost resonance between earth and oversoul. The truth about crystals is they do not heal you. They remind you who you are by syncing your field with the original frequency. Yes, I post this on YouTube. Magic is applied soul technology. What we don't understand about magic is that magic is a conscious direction of energy, memory, and intent. It is not superstitious and it's not trickery. Okay? It's ancestral science that operates through flame lineages, oversoul frequency, breath, and sound. Magic was used to tend to Earth's grid, activate relics, and seal timelines. The truth about magic is that magic is the interface between will, soul, memory, and matter. It is how you direct your energy, your memory, and your intent. Sex was a stargate of creation and consciousness. My name on YouTube is Big Taj, Bijtajj. Okay. Sex is a stargate of creation and consciousness. What we don't understand about sex is that sex energy is the raw essence of source in motion. It's used in ceremony to anchor timelines, open portals, and call down oversoul codes. Every orgasm, because you don't go for the cheap ejaculation. That's not how you're doing it. If you're doing it that way, you are wasting your damn fluids. You're wasting your fluids. Don't waste your fluids. Okay, you go for the orgasm. That means semen retention for men and for women. Okay, because every time you orgasm, that's the only time that you feel your Kundalini energy if you don't go through a Kundalini awakening. So what happens is that energy raises from the base of your spine and hits you in your pineal gland, and it leads to expanded states of awareness when you go for the orgasm. You will know the difference because the orgasm is going to have your whole body shaking forever. It feels like, okay? Best time to manifest, absolutely. So every orgasm was once a rite of remembrance. It's not just about pleasure. It was about expansion and also anchoring in your oversoul more. What's happening is you experiencing so much light in your body that everything starts vibrating. You start vibrating higher. That's why it feels like euphoria. Sacred union was not just about romance. It was about technological and planetary alignment. The truth about sex is that true sexual union is the union of flame-made flesh and can reactivate flame codes, memory, and healing. If you know how to do it right. We're going to talk about that. Because in my spiritual anatomy class, I'll talk about masturbation and how to use that to your benefit, you know. So that's going to be on Sunday, 3:00 Pacific Standard Time. It's available on my website. Now, melanin is bioluminescent flame conductor. What that means is that melanin is not just pigment. It is a cosmic antenna for light, sound, memory, frequency, and soul transmission, over soul transmission. High melanated beings were the original crystal grids. They were anchoring Earth's codes through their body. Melanin stores ancestral memory, which is why colonization worked so hard to suppress it. Meaning that they told you if you talk to any of your ancestors, you're talking to the devil. The truth is that melanin is an earth stellar wiring. We talked about pre-stellar consciousness. Melanin is specific to Earth. Okay? The more melanin, the more naturally you attune to the grid's spirit and multidimensional remembrance. Okay? DNA memory scroll. And it's not just about inheritance either. What we don't understand about DNA is that DNA holds not just your genes, but your soul agreements, your flame codes, your karmic echoes, and your multidimensional instructions. What scientists call junk DNA is often inactivated flame code memory. It is literally our land. For some of us are star beings, but yes, we were seated before they were ever in existence. Yes. So yes, it's ours because finders, keepers, losers, weepers is what they say. If we live in by they shit, then go back to where you came from. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, doesn't matter. DNA responds to sound, color, and thought. Okay. It is a living, spiraling key. So the truth is DNA is not what you're made of. It is what you're made from. Okay. And it's constantly listening to your consciousness. It is constantly listening to your consciousness. Y'all are funny. Okay. Now, since we talk about that, let's talk about some of the suppressed soul inherited gifts that we have. So we know what the main clairs are, right? Clairaudience is clear hearing, clairvoyance, clear sight, clairalience, clear smelling, clairgustance, clear taste, clear agency, clear touching, clear sentience, clear feeling, clear empathy, also clear feeling, but specific to emotional energy. Did I get them? Touch, taste, feel, smell. Nope. Touch, taste. Did I miss any of them, y'all? If I did, so what? We know about them, right? What we don't know about is this list I'm about to give you. Yes, it's possible to have all gifts because you are, well, no, it depends on your flame lineages, really. But everybody has the potential to tap into these things if they raise their consciousness high enough. Okay. So some are specific to certain flame lineages, though. So if you don't have access to that flame lineage, every flame lineage it lives as a frequency, though, meaning you could tap into it. It just doesn't come from within. Okay. So these are passed through bloodlines and flame lineages, and these gifts are often targeted for erasure, meaning that when people start to display these, they don't want you here no more. Okay, so the first one is called clairgridience, and this is grid sensing, meaning you can sense sacred sites and you can sense grid points that need to be healed. This was suppressed because it could activate Earth's grid remotely, meaning you don't even have to go there. You can go in your dream realm and you can walk that land and activate that land. Okay, you got to go back to the third episode, babe. This is episode 11. So if you're not privy, go to my YouTube. This playlist is called Spiritual Talk with Big Taj. The very first episode is in the playlist. Yeah, everything's in the playlist. But I think it's the third episode. I talk about flame lineages. And then the fourth episode is about bloodlines. So I literally have already talked about Atlantis, Mu. Lemuria, Mu, Atlantis, like literally leading us up to this point. So just go back and watch it. It is a interesting watch, a long watch, but it is an interesting watch. And I'm right now, everything that I do with do human design. There's a reason why I do that. Everything I do is surrounded around getting us back into remembrance. So yeah. Anyways, so flame recall. But to answer your question, I'm sorry, my love. A flame lineage is your soul lineage. Everybody had to stand before the flame before they got here. If you ever seen the cartoon movie Soul, this is primordial substance. This is not just fire. This is primordial substance. It's the substance that you are made up out of. They can never extinguish you, but they can delay you. They can dim you. But it's like the reason why when you get angry, it feels like something is boiling from the inside. It is your fire. That fire you get in your belly when you're passionate about something. It is fire because you have fire inside of your body. Fire is the only thing they don't know how to define. And it's because it is source energy. You are made up of it. Okay. But there's different lineages and flames that you have access to. Okay. So next is flame recall. So flame recall is remembering your oversoul path. And this was suppressed because it bypasses mental control. Next is womb seeing, meaning prophetic visions that come through your sacral. Okay. This was suppressed because flame recall is remembering your oversoul path. This was suppressed because it made people immune to social programming. Womb seeing, which is prophetic visions through the sacral, suppressed because it bypassed mental control. Soul scribing, which is like automatic writing, is writing to awaken dormant memories. It was suppressed because it recodes consciousness through text. Star language, which is light language, it was channeling oversoul dialect, because that's what light language is. It's channeling oversoul dialects. It was suppressed because it activates DNA strands and cracks distortion. Telepathy, which is heart to heart, soul to soul coherence, that was soul level knowing of others. This was suppressed because it could destabilize lies and manipulation. Seer dream work, which is accessing timelines through sleep. It was suppressed because it opens forbidden archives. Relic resonance, which is the ability to locate or activate sacred tech, is suppressed because it threatens control of sacred sites. I have always had I don't know why, but the moment that I learned about the Caucasus Mountains, I knew something was there. It's because I had a relic there. So yeah, that's what this is. It's like, you know where the relics are. Okay. Seraphic tone casting, which is singing or speaking to realign fields. This is suppressed because it could clear entire bloodlines or entire spells. And they work off of spell work. Okay. And then flame forging. Flame forging is when you join others in sacred creative alchemy, because y'all are better together. Y'all create better together. It's suppressed because it reunites soul families that systems worked to divide. How did they divide us? They dropped you off over there and then dropped you off over there, and they told y'all that y'all was different people. Even though y'all look the same. They dropped them off in Puerto Rico, then they went over to Haiti, and then they went over there to Brazil, and then they went over there to those places. And they told y'all are different people. You're Brazilian, but you're ethnically. Let me plug my phone up before my damn phone dies. Hold on, y'all. Oh, shit. Come on now. Hold on. Okay? They told y'all was different people. And y'all not different people. And because they got y'all so divided and separated and y'all can't stand each other, ethnically melanated people, because there's competition and judgment and all of these things going on, y'all can never actually come together and do the work that y'all are powerful enough to fucking do. When I say y'all, I mean us. I keep saying y'all, but I really mean us. So understand, you are the technology. Your melanin is a crystal. Your sexual energy is a portal. Your DNA is a temple. And your magic is the ritual of remembering. And your body is the living grid point. Okay? So the last part of this, because I'm finally at the end, is the false light system. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you identify them. False light demands obedience. True light respects sovereignty, meaning it's going to empower you. False light is going to tell you, no, you need to listen to me. I'm the only one that can do this. It's ego. It's ego. You know, a lot of people who got ego, yeah, our government is what made most of people into narcissists, because they are the narcissists that is always gaslighting us. They teach that behavior, right? True light respects sovereignty. This path that if you decide to take this path, which I am currently, I'll just tell y'all, I might even show y'all a little sneak peek because I can't hold motherfucking water. I can't wait. I'll just be so excited when I be creating these soul technologies. So let me finish what I'm doing first. Okay. So this path never demands that you believe or you follow blindly. Okay. You are always invited to question, to feel, to test, and to discern. You're not told what to do. You're invited to remember. So you just need to ask yourself, does this path make me feel smaller, or does it make me feel freer? Okay. I almost spill too, because, damn, I said I wasn't going to, but fuck it. It's already done. Anyways, next is that false light is going to avoid shadow. Okay. True light eliminates it. It illuminates it. Okay. False light will try to bypass shame or erase your pain, invalidate you. It's going to invalidate you, which is the gaslighting, right? But in this journey, you have to actually honor your grief, your rage, your doubt, your body. I'm glad. Sometimes I'll be telling my clients, sometimes maybe you should fucking get mad. Maybe you should get mad, because then maybe you would do something different. And that's sacred rage. You understanding that you deserve better and that you're worth more. Why are you acting like that's a bad thing? Please, let's get mad together. You know, the truth of the matter is, you have cried, you have screamed, you have fasted, you have broken open, and every single moment you are met with presence and you are not met with punishment, meaning there is no shame and there is no blame and there is no nothing, when you actually know how to treat yourself in true light, right? Next, false light fears power. True light teaches you how to hold it. See, I've been scared of my own power since I was a kid. There's something very intense that sits within me sometimes. And I'd be afraid that if I tap into that, I'm going to hurt something or someone. There's a specific part of my energy, when I feel it rising up, I'll be like, no, go back down, please. You know? And now I understand that's truth and clarity, because I never felt truth and clarity before, because I was sitting around in these distorted ass environments. So truth feels foreign to me. Clarity feels foreign to me. Purity and energy feels foreign to me. Right? We're not even feeling at the capacity that we could fucking feel things because of that. So if things are false light, it would try to feed and inflate your ego identity, okay? Or trap you in performance. You have to do something. But this path, it keeps calling you to your center, reminding you you are not a seeker of hierarchy or a pedestal. You are a seeker of inner balance. So you got to keep saying to yourself, I am not higher. I am not better. I am just different. I am not higher. I am not better. I am just different. Okay. And your body knows. You can read truth with your body. You just need to feel into it. There are three main places where you read truth from. That's confirmation, baby. Your heart. Okay. Did your heart expand or did it tighten? Your womb. Does it ache or does it glow? Your crown. Does it buzz or does it go silent? False light is going to agitate your nervous system. So y'all be thinking that them damn butterflies. I got butterflies in my system. This man is doing something to me. Yes, he about to fuck your life up. Is what he about to do. He about to fuck your life up is what he about to do. Your nervous system can't settle around distortion energy. And so people think because they don't get butterflies, that's not their person. So this is funny because a lot of us operate like this. When people think because they don't get butterflies, that's not your person. The person who does not give you butterflies is the person who makes you feel safe on an energetic level. The person who gives you butterflies is the person you should be running towards the fucking hills from. Your nervous system cannot even settle around this person. True light is going to ground you into clarity. Good, Jazzy. I love that for you. Okay. And the last thing is that you keep becoming more of you. You are not being overwritten by all of these identities that society is creating or all these boxes that people are trying to put you into. There's actual space for you to exist as you. You become more honest, more clear, more embodied. Okay. And that is not illusion. That is initiation. So, and if at any moment you feel like you are dealing with a false light system, because I don't just give y'all the game, I give y'all applicable things that you could use in your environment to get you back in alignment if you need to get back in alignment. Okay. So this is what I want you to say out loud. And this is going to be on YouTube. So I'm only going to say this once. Sacred pause for those of y'all who need to grab pens. I revoke all unconscious agreements with false light, false guides, and false timelines. I call forward only what serves my highest oversoul truth. I return to stillness where my source frequency cannot be corrupted, because it is in with stillness that the truth comes to you. I remember and I remain sovereign. Again, I revoke all unconscious agreements with false light, false guides, and false timelines. I call forward only what serves my highest oversoul truth. I return to stillness where my frequency cannot be corrupted. I remember and I remain sovereign. Okay. If you say this and you feel peace afterwards, that's how you know you was tapping into a false light system. But if you feel tightness, okay, you need to pause and re-anchor. Okay. So, boom. That's today's lesson. And basically, we're coming to an end on our Atlantis series. Okay. I'm going to post this on YouTube, y'all. We coming to an end on our Atlantis series, y'all. We are. What I'm gonna start doing, I'm still gonna do spiritual talk on Wednesdays. I still got a couple things we still need to kind of go through. But the reason why I need to tell y'all this is because, again, in the next 8 years, since we moved into Gemini's moved into Uranus, we are going to be anchoring in the grid of New Earth, which I've talked about in a couple of previous episodes. Okay, so you need to know this information because this is going to help you to what you're supposed to remember. Okay, this is episode 11. But I'm still going to do spiritual talk every Wednesday because, again, there's still other spiritual concepts and stuff that we need to talk about. Okay. So love that for us. Again, spiritual anatomy class on Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay, it will be a live class. You will get a chance to ask any questions that you may have. But you need to understand your soul as a technology. It also will be available on my website afterwards, but you won't be able to ask any questions. Okay, you get a copy of the video afterwards if you take the class. Okay. I don't do a lot of classes, so this is only my second class that I've done. But I'll kind of keep the classes coming because I want us to truly understand who we are. And once I finally get to the astrology and reconstructing that from a soul perspective, I might do an actual course that is like a 6-week course or a 7-week course or something like that, teaching people how to truly understand that. Now, let me show you. Oh, I don't think I can show y'all on YouTube though. Hold on, let me answer the questions real quick from the folks who ask questions. Give me 1 second, y'all. Because y'all know if you're in my Patreon, you can ask questions. Oh, this is so beautiful. I can't wait to share. Okay, let me go to Patreon. So somebody said, do you access the astral realm only in the subconscious, or can you experience it when you're conscious? No, you can only experience it when you're in your subconscious mind. Are you capable of aligning? And your subconscious mind exists inside of your mind, meaning like you can experience it in your mind's eye, but you can't experience it in this physical reality because it's like a mirror of this physical reality. So are you capable of aligning with the planets? Sorry, I got a tag confused. Yes, you are. They exist inside of your body. The chakra systems represent the planet's energy inside of your body. But yes, what you want to do is study the planet, and it's going to tell you how to, Venus tells you how to enjoy life, right? Saturn talks about boundaries. It talks about liberation, really is what it's about, boundaries and liberation. You know, you study the planets and then you start to implement those things in your life based off of where you have those energies in your chart. Okay. Does Earth rising vibration have anything to do with more people seeing the distortion? Yes, because with the more raised vibration comes clarity and truth. Okay. Can you restate what you said about the crystals? Oh, baby, we're past that. It'll be on YouTube though. I got a Zumba class. Okay, gotcha. All right. So I think I can show TikTok, but I don't think that I can show YouTube, which this video is going to be on YouTube. So maybe I'll hold off. But I'll tell y'all what I'm doing. Maybe I don't know. Anyways, I actually created a soul technology, which, okay, show us. All right, fine. Okay, hold on 1 second. So let me tell y'all what I'm doing first. Both of y'all, all of y'all. I am creating a tarot deck, and I'm creating an oracle deck as well. And the reason why I decided tarot and oracle is because I'm going to encode the cards with love and remembrance, so that when you guys are doing readings for yourself or for other people, it directly corresponds with everything that I'll talk about and where you are on your path to remembrance. So regular tarot is about the soul's journey, but it's from like a mental perspective, whereas this is from soul level encoded memory for flame bearers specifically. Okay. Now, the art is gorgeous, and it's only melanated beings because I'm a melanated being, and this one's for the nigga. Okay. Strictly for the. All right. So I'm gonna show y'all. I don't know if I could show YouTube. I'm so sorry, YouTube. This is crazy. But this is where we are. Can you see how gorgeous they are? So, and just so YouTube, so you can know. Oh, can you see it through my? Oh, look, YouTube, you can kind of see it. if I do it this way. All right. So these are the major arcanas. The awakening flame. And I'm gonna actually have, I think I'm gonna do on my website, I'm gonna put like every single card is going to have like a spot where you can go to figure out what it looks like. I mean, what it means when you pull this card, and also when it's in the reverse as well. So these are the major arcana cards. Look at that mirror of shame. Just gorgeous, gorgeous. The grid walker, you know, because some of y'all are grid walkers. The Sarah Flame embodiment gate. And I'm trying to do this in the cheapest way possible because I don't want to charge y'all arm and a leg because that's fucked up, you know? And I don't believe in it. Capitalism can, anyways. So look at this one, the void womb, gorgeous. And then these are our suit cards. So we have the flame, which is going to be considered to be similar to wands, but the actual meaning behind the cards is completely different. Okay, so it's almost like a whole new system that you'll kind of have to learn if you're going to be using this, right? So flame is going to be wand, and then we have the breath. The breath is going to be air, of course. Look at that, gorgeous, the hidden flame, because so many of y'all is hiding y'all light. And I need y'all to stop hiding y'all light from the world. And then we have the waters, okay? The waters, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at our queen. And then we have the stones, and these are the crystals, of course, are the stones. These are the bones. This is specific to Earth. So yeah, so those are this is the tarot deck, but I also have an oracle deck. And I'm still working on the imagery for the oracle decks. But the oracle decks, it's okay because I'm gonna put like how to pull, like I'm gonna do like specific what do you call them, like readings, like have like 7 card pools or whatever. I'm gonna put all of that in there so that y'all could and what I want this to be before I get into the oracle deck, what I want this to be is a way for you while you're on your journey of remembrance to check in with yourself. I want it to be like an intuitive guide to tell you where you are and what you need to work on. You know, it's going to be rituals in the little, because I think I'm going to do it on my website, meaning like you have to go to my website, sorry, to know what the cards mean, only because I want to give you a full explanation, but I also want to give you like work that you could actually do. This is more so about it being a soul technology than just playing cards or like, you know, fuck all that. I want to actually be able to help y'all learn, you know, and grow. And so when I produce these cards and y'all are, you know, pulling cards for yourself and it says you need to, like, these are the things that you're going through right now, I want you to be able to go to my site and be able to find the card, find things that you can do right now in this moment to help you with that. Okay. And again, like I said, it's specific to flame bearers. So all of my beings are melanated and cute, and they look like us, and they look like your granddaddy. That is your granddaddy. Yes. Anyways, I'm outrageous today because I've had too much energy. But anyways, so that's what I'm working on. I should have these available in, I think, 4 weeks, they said. And so I'm working on that. And then I also have an oracle deck with the flame lineages, meaning like, so you can figure out what flame lineages you're from, or if you want to do readings for other people, that type of thing. I also be using my own deck within my own flame lineage readings, which I have coming up. But I have the flame lineage cards, but they're also going to come with oracle cards as well, with just specific things on your journey that I feel like you might run into. Okay, so that way you can kind of combine the two if you want to. And right now I think the actual tarot cards, I'm not going to put them in a actual box. I'm going to put them in a velvet bag just because I'm trying to keep the price as low as possible for y'all, because I hate when shit just be so fucking expensive. Like, why? And that's why I offer Klarna and Afterpay and stuff on my website, because we in a recession, you know. But yeah, I'm almost done with that, y'all. Are these on your site? Not yet. Not on my site yet, friend. But I'm working on that. So, and during these 4 weeks that it takes to produce my master deck, I'm going to be working on putting these on my website for y'all. Wear my music sweater I got for you forever ago, which makes, oh yes, period. We loving to listen music, girly. But that's an old brand that I used to have. Y'all, I done had multiple businesses. I've been 1,000 different people. I didn't get here by accident. So anyways, so I'm working on that for y'all right now. I'm almost completely done with human design. from the soul lens, which is going to be an additional reading that you can purchase outside of the original human design readings. The reason why I want to do it that way is because the original human design readings are the mental side of things. They're the material side of things, where this is going to be the soul side of things. I think you need both. I think because you are both things, you're not just one or the other, you know? So I'm just going to make this as like an additional reading that you can get outside of that. But yeah, that's where we at. That's what we doing. So yeah, so that's the end of the episode. I will be on here tomorrow because on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:00 each day, which is 6 Central, 7 Eastern, I do $11 readings. So if y'all want to come through and get a reading, we just listening to music, we vibing out. And then whoever wants to read it, I'm just giving readings. I think I was on there yesterday for about 2 hours. I posted those on YouTube if y'all want to go watch those readings, because I thought yesterday's readings were actually really good. And then again, if y'all want to join my class on Sunday, okay, let me give away before I go. Let me give away 2 free entries into my class on Sunday. Because I said I was going to do that and time kind of got away from me. I got 30 minutes because I got a client in 30 minutes. So I do want to give away 2 to 3 free entries into my class. I think I'm going to do 3 because 3 is my number. Okay. So let's do a quiz. Is there anybody in the room who has been listening to us this entire time? Okay. So how many wombs do we have? That's the first question. The first person to answer gets free entry. What you'll need to do is either email me. Okay, Sister Treats, that's you. Memory, write me on Telegram. Okay, we got 3 wombs, y'all. 3. We got the void womb, the water womb, and the cosmic womb. Nope. Hold on. That don't feel right. Something feels off. Hold on. That's dimensions. I'm waiting. This should be in realms, right? The void womb, the water womb, and the flame womb. I didn't skip you, my love. She answered before you. Sister Treats and more. That's memory. So that's first. Memory, write me. You'll get a free entry. The next question is, because I'm quizzing people, because why not? What did the Roman Empire do that has completely burned my ass? What did they do? Name one thing that they did. I'm looking at YouTube still. Okay, Grace. That works for me, Grace. Still distort all of the things. Still kill and all of the things. So Grace and Faith, send me a DM or email me. Yep. Healing Hustle. Yeah, they did. They fucked up everything. Just a bunch of fuck ups. So yes, that's what the Roman Empire did. They stole, they lied, they mimicked, they constructed Earth's natural energy flow. Okay, Shay, I'll look at it. So yeah, there's 3 wombs, y'all. 3 wombs. Okay, and then the last question that I have is, what is the last question that I have? I don't know. I mean, I do know. Okay. Why I'm trying to make this hard? It don't got to be this complicated. All right, hold on. Okay, what they stole and lied, period. What dimension does false guides and psychic attacks happen on. What a minute. There we go. DJ in high demand. Please send me a DM. It happens on the 4th, y'all. The fourth density. The third density is where polarity and duality happens, but the fourth density is the bridge. It's the in-between. Okay, so DJ in high demand, reach out to me. I will give me like 5-10 minutes because I got to get myself together because I got a client in 30 minutes. But I'm going to post, this is already going to be posted on YouTube as soon as I get out. So that's why I record on YouTube. Adrena Ali, thank you, boo. I appreciate you. I take tips, okay? My Cash App is Big Taj with 2 J's. But yeah, so I'll be on here tomorrow doing $11 readings and stuff. Sunday, again, we have the spiritual anatomy class. You get that on my website, www.bigtaj with 2 J's, BIGTAJJ.com. Click where it say book me and it takes you directly there. My personal sessions, if you want a one-on-one that's not on live, is $125 for 30 minutes, $250 for an hour. But I'm a generous person. So if you book a 30-minute reading, we go into I feel like the message is clear. So yeah, that's available. Everything's available on my website. I love y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow around 4 or 5 o'clock to be doing those readings. And that's just a session where we just turn on some music because I got good music taste. Y'all got good music taste. We might as well just hang out, chill, you know, catch a vibe, and then also do some readings because why not? Oh, my Cash App is 3 J's. Oh, maybe 2 J's was used up. Love y'all. Have a great evening. Oh, okay. That's what come up when I search it. Okay, my bad. My Cash App is BIGTAJJ, like TikTok. Because people be stealing my name. And they be trying to make different accounts and stuff underneath my name, which is diabolical, and be fucking scamming people. Anyways, I love y'all. I will talk to y'all later and have a great day. All right, YouTube. I love y'all. See you later.